Chapter 1080. Was this sword really something that could be lifted just by training one's strength? Seeing Li Fan sitting there in deep thought, Dragon Lady secretly wiped away her cold sweat. Unbelievable. It was clearly a trap, but he actually lifted it 20 times. If he continues to train like this, perhaps he will be able to train it 100 times sooner or later, right? Thus, Dragon Lady quickly set a 10-day deadline so that there would not be any problems. Seeing Li Fan sitting there cross-legged, she secretly laughed in her heart. This kid, is he really going to give up? Li Fan sat cross-legged on the ground, looking at the Shang Fong sword in front of him. A sword that looked simple and unadorned. Without any power, it did not even have a bit of luster. What is the difference between Wang Luo and me? Why can Wang Luo easily use it, but I can't? Li Fan seemed to have thought of something. Mental power? Old Yang, come out. Li Fan silently called out in his heart, and a figure sat beside him. Mr. Yang was still wearing a black gentleman's suit today, looking at Li Fan with some dissatisfaction in his eyes. Old Yang? What kind of a dress is that? What an intimate address. Li Fan was using his mind to speak. He knew that Dragon Lady could not hear or see him. Are you worried about this sword? Mr. Yang seemed to know what Li Fan was worried about. I can indeed help you, but is this what you really want? You seem a bit off today. Li Fan raised his eyebrows. You never spoke like this in the past. You always advised me to follow my heart. I used to be the darkest side of your heart, but now that you and I have fused, I no longer need to remind you to follow your heart. Now, my mission is to ensure that you can live. Don't worry, as long as I understand this sword, I can live well. Li Fan stared at the Shang Fong sword in front of him. Don't you already have the answer in your heart? Yes, that's why I need your help. Li Fan gently tapped the sword with his finger. Let me communicate with it spiritually, Old Yang. Sure, but this sword has a very strong spiritual force. You have to be careful. Mr. Yang reminded Li Fan again. You have to be more careful in the future. I don't have the energy to remind you anymore. My remaining phantom has reached its limit. What do you mean by that? You should understand. Mr. Yang looked at Li Fan, and there was a little expectation in his eyes. I am indeed Mr. Yang. I am a little spiritual force that he left in your brain. I see potential in you. I hope you can inherit my will and truly change this world. However, you're getting stronger and stronger, while I am getting weaker and weaker. Now it's time for me to leave. Your spiritual power still exists in a unique form. Think about it carefully. What form should it exist in? As he spoke, Mr. Yang pulled Li Fan's hand and pressed it on the scabbard. Li Fan, you must live on. Mr. Yang's figure slowly dissipated, and a white light flashed in front of Li Fan. In the blink of an eye, he entered into an illusory world. This world was like a courtroom. Under Li Fan's feet was a huge circular stone brick space with a dragon-shaped pattern imprinted on it, and around it stood statues one after another. Each statue was 100 meters tall, towering into the clouds, reaching straight into the clouds. Each statue was holding a huge sword in their hand. They were majestic and insufferably arrogant. One of the statues attracted Li Fan's attention. Isn't that Wang Luo? It seems that all the statues here were once the users of the Shang Fong sword. Mortal, why are you here? A deep voice rang out, and it pierced Li Fan's eardrums. Everyone, I'm here to negotiate. Li Fan raised his voice and said to these statues, Negotiate? What qualifications do you have? Everyone, you guys are too impatient. A smile hung on Li Fan's face. He crossed his arms and stood in the middle of these statues without any pressure. I am your successor. It was this guy who chose me. Why? Say something. Li Fan pointed at Wang Luo. Li Fan, this is the sacred sword tomb. It is not a place where you can be impudent. You're speaking very seriously today. Li Fan looked at him in shock. You became serious after you died? Enough. Get out of this place. You are not welcome here. Wang Luo is a stupid guy. He actually chose you as a successor. We will not acknowledge you. Yes, get out. The surrounding roars got louder and louder, but Li Fan smiled instead. Looks like my estimation was right. Why can't I use the Shang Fong sword is because of you ghosts. That's right. The power of this sword belongs to us. We will not share any with you. Do you understand? That's right. With you guys here, I can't use this sword. Li Fan moved his body. That's why I came in to kill you guys. What did you say? Arrogant human. What? Is your hearing not working after you died? Li Fan sneered. Cut the crap. Today, I want to see who dares to stop me. If God blocks me, I will kill God. If Buddha blocks me, I will kill Buddha. Stupid. This is the sword tomb, a spiritual world. What are you going to use to fight against us? These heroic spirits of a Shangfang sword were all disdainful. Old Yang is dead, but he still left me a bit of inheritance. Li Fan said and stretched out his right hand. A black sword slowly condensed in front of him and was held in his hand. My spiritual power and true qi cannot be used together. Therefore, my spiritual power is divided. Usually, it appears in Mr. Yang's appearance, but today, I will define it as the extraordinary sword. With that, Li Fan stretched out his hand and flicked the extraordinary sword. This is a spiritual world. If his spiritual power is strong enough, he can destroy these bastards. The extraordinary sword trembled from a flick. What are you doing, bastard? The reprimanding voice of the heroic spirits rang out, and a black thunderbolt shot out from Li Fan's sword and struck a heroic spirit statue. Rumble. The statue immediately collapsed, and the stones kept falling into the endless abyss. Stop, stop. You're crazy. Stop, you idiot. The heroic spirits roared angrily. There are 19 more. Li Fan counted the statues. Don't worry. Everyone has a share. Let's take it slow. With that, Li Fan flicked out another thunderbolt and smashed another heroic spirit statue. What are you doing? These are the heroic spirits that protected China. A heroic spirit roared. Chapter 1081. You are not wrong. Li Fan nods his head, but you guys are too arrogant and arrogant. That is why you guys have brought destruction. As he speaks, he does not forget to flick the black sword once again. Lightning appears and shatters another 2 heroic spirit statues. Enough! Enough! A majestic voice rings out. A man's figure suddenly descends from the sky and lands in front of Li Fan. His appearance was exactly the same as that of the largest statue of the heroic spirit. Enough, Li Fan stopped. Looking at the man wearing only animal skin in front of him, Li Fan understood. You are the first generation's imperial sword. Yes, the bee-skin man is filled with heroism. You should be done messing around, Li Fan. I'm messing around? Li Fan is unhappy. What a joke. I am working hard for China, and you guys are just lying here watching the show. You even want to hinder me, and now you're saying that I'm messing around? Wanting to become an imperial sword is not an easy thing to do. The ones who want me to become an imperial sword are you guys. The ones who do not want me to be an imperial sword are you guys. Li Fan is so angry that he laughs. Let's just all play together. Come, let me give you guys a thunderbolt. Let's stop here. We acknowledge you. The first generation heroic spirit admits defeat. You win. Is this true? I am the first generation heroic spirit. My words are as good as gold. The first generation heroic spirit says loudly, I swear on my name. If I am lying, I will die a horrible death. Aren't you already dead? Then let my body and soul be destroyed, okay? All right, I will believe you for now. Only then is Li Fan satisfied. Just a sword, and he dares to fight with me. If I do not subdue this sword, how am I going to survive in Jianghu? Please leave. The first generation heroic spirit trembles when he sees Li Fan. All right, let's have a happy cooperation. Happy cooperation. Li Fan happily left. Exceptional talent finally released a breath of relief. He then turned around and looked at Wang Luo's statue. I finally know why you chose such a person. Only he can do it. Wang Luo finally spoke. Right now, China is filled with danger. Only someone like him can become the supreme sword of this generation. When he dies, I don't want him to come to the martyr's palace. That's not for us to decide. First generation, let's just wait and see. The remaining time no longer belongs to us. You're right. We're just the remnants of souls. The hero spirits all retreated, and Li Fan returned to the outside. When he opened his eyes, he found Dragon Lady sitting across from him, devouring a plate of dumplings with all her might. This foodie, Li Fan couldn't help but want to complain. He had been in the sword tomb for a long time, but she was still eating. Was her stomach a bottomless pit? Is it delicious? Li Fan asked. It's delicious. It's pickled cabbage and meat. Dragon Lady smiled sweetly. I've never eaten this flavor before. It's also very satisfying to occasionally find you. Li Fan didn't know what to say. I'm full now. Let's talk business. What business? Are you going to treat me to dinner? Li Fan didn't say much and only pulled out his supreme sword. Puffed. The dragoness spat out the food in her mouth, while Li Fan held the Shangfeng sword and casually brandished it. What? Dragon Lady couldn't believe it. How did you do it? I just did it. Li Fan held the supreme sword in his hand and swung it. A beautiful sword energy swept out and cut the wooden dolls beside him into two. You really did it? What? You don't want me to do it? Li Fan held the Shangfeng sword and looked at Dragon Girl. You've exceeded my expectations, Li Fan. Dragon Lady finally put down the chopsticks in her hand and looked at Li Fan seriously. I didn't expect you to do so well. She wiped her hands and took out a pure gold engraved plate with a sword carved on it. This is the symbol of the Supreme Sword. From today onwards, you are the official Supreme Sword. I will follow you for 2 years to test your character. If your character is up to standard, then I will officially recognize your identity. Huh? My character is not bad at all. Li Fan patted his chest without hesitation. It's full of good quality. All talk and no practice. Dragon Lady curled her lips. In these 2 years, perform well. I will observe you. Why? Are we going to be inseparable? Of course. Otherwise, how can it be called observation? All right. Then do you want to observe me when I pee? What about shit? Pooey, pooey, pooey. How can you be so filthy? Dragon Lady spat at Li Fan. Your character really needs to be trained. You're welcome to train me. Li Fan laughed in his heart. When the time comes, who knows who will be the one training who? From today onwards, I will leave this place. Dragon Lady looked around. What a pity. There are a lot of delicious food here. From today onwards, you will be the one to raise me. Li Fan was dumbfounded. Why am I the one raising you? This is your sacred responsibility and obligation. Dragon Lady patted Li Fan's shoulder happily. Young man, do your best. This Dragon Lady is relying on you. Your appetite. I can't afford to raise you. It's not like I can eat a lot. It's just that my appetite is a little bigger than the average person. Dragon Lady emphasized. Is this a little? Li Fan pointed at the trash can at the side. It was filled with the leftover chicken bones of Dragon Lady. This woman loved to eat fried chicken. It was not a problem for her to eat hundreds of them a day. Major Li, you don't have to worry about this. Just as Li Fan was complaining about being poor, the general walked in with a document in his hand. Your procedures have been completed. You are now an official major. Moreover, you will receive a subsidy of 100,000 yuan from the state every month. 100,000 yuan, Li Fan said. As a civil servant, this was quite a high salary. This caused Li Fan to feel a little inflated. That means, I am also someone who receives public subsidies? Of course, we all have to do our best for the country. The general looked at Li Fan with a trusting gaze. But this 100,000 yuan is not even enough for someone to eat. Cough, cough. Madam Dragon Lady's subsidy is also 100,000 yuan every month. It will be transferred to your account as well. That's more like it. Li Fan was satisfied. 200,000 yuan a month. That should be enough for him to eat. Then I will go back with you? But I live in a dormitory in G University. What should I do? Li Fan started to worry. However, the general immediately added, Don't worry, everything has been arranged. A new student dormitory. Chapter 1082. The environment here is not bad. After returning to G University, Dragon Lady examined the interior of the dormitory. It's barely livable. It's not bad, don't be picky. Li Fan rolled his eyes at this guy. This is for international students to live. We ordinary students don't even have the qualifications to live here. What is an international student? Dragon Lady didn't understand these new terms. There were international students in the Republic of China, right? Oh, I think I remember they were foreign students, right? Yes, you're not that stupid. Go to hell. I'm your mentor. Show me some respect. Dragon Lady lay down on the sofa beside her and stretched her body. Li Fan wasn't unaccustomed to having a little lowly living in the house. After all, he was used to living with Muro. But since it's a place for us Chinese, why is it so nice to foreigners? Shouldn't we let our countrymen live here first? It's weird, who knows why? Li Fan shrugged. But you're the boss. If not for you, I wouldn't be qualified to live in this dormitory. Why is there nothing in the fridge? Dragon Lady opened the fridge and was disappointed. Probably not prepared yet. All right, I'll go downstairs and buy you something delicious. How about that? Li Fan suddenly had an idea. Okay. I found your character is not bad. Dragon Lady clapped her hands happily. Then stay at home and don't move. If you're bored, watch TV. Li Fan turned on the TV and placed the remote in front of Dragon Lady. This is to change the channel, and this is to adjust the volume. Li Fan guided her. Remember to change the channel if there's something you don't like. TV? Change the channel? Dragon Lady studied the TV with great interest and was surprised and excited to see the figure in it. There's someone in here. Oh my God, it can move. It can even talk. Li Fan said that it was like a country bumpkin. Imperial concubine Zhou was much better than her. She wasn't surprised to see something new and was naturally calm. Okay, I'll go downstairs to buy you some food. There was a supermarket downstairs. Li Fan went downstairs and bought a lot of things before returning. When he returned home, he saw a dragoness sitting on the sofa barefooted, watching a Korean drama. The clothes they are wearing are so beautiful. Dragoness watched with great interest. Are there any female clothes inside? I won't wear them too. You'll have to go to Korea to help you buy it. The ones in China are all counterfeits. Korean TV dramas have specialized clothing factories to support them, and this is much better than China. Their urban drama costumes were always a highlight. Although Li Fan didn't watch many Korean dramas, he quite liked the male leads' costumes. You still have to go abroad to buy it? No need to go through so much trouble. Dragon Lady twirled her fingers a few times, and her clothes began to change slowly. Soon, she became the Korean dress of the female lead in the TV series. What kind of spell is this? Can you teach me? I can't teach you. You're not a dragon girl. Dragon Lady curled her lips. This is the innate water ability that we dragon ladies are born with. Can't they be taught? Of course not. Try this. Li Fan tore open a bag of chips and stuffed it into Dragon Lady's hands. What is this? It's weird. Can it be eaten? Dragon Lady tasted a piece, and her eyes lit up. This thing is delicious. Can you teach it? I really can't teach this. Seeing that Li Fan wanted to take back the chips, Dragon Lady was a little anxious. I'm a puppy if I lie. To the dragon race, puppies were the lowest level of animals. Since she said that, she shouldn't be lying to him. You're a human. Humans can only learn human moves. Dragon Lady looked at the chips that Li Fan took back. She drooled as she explained, for example, true energy, mental strength, and so on. Between species, because of the differences in evolution, there are naturally differences in characteristics. For example, if you let an ant ask a human how to blow away so many ants with one breath, how would you expect the human to explain? This is the difference in characteristics, understand? I understand what you're saying, but all things are made up of energy. Li Fan had always believed in his theory of energy. If an ant works hard to cultivate, it might be able to have the strength of a human. Ridiculous. How is that possible? Can you give me the chips first? Li Fan stuffed the chips back in her hands and wiped the saliva off her face. Didn't humans also break through their limits? Li Fan emphasized, for example, those Saint Rank experts with the strength of 100 dragons. Aren't their strength beyond ordinary people? Saint Rank is the limit of ordinary people. Dragon Lady reminded Li Fan. Moreover, the so-called strength of 100 dragons is a joke. It's not even the strength of a dragon. You should continue eating the chips. Li Fan was a little regretful. It seemed that he could not learn the ability to change clothes. Otherwise, he could save a lot of money. Every time the alien changes its bones, it would ruin the clothes. This was really troublesome. I'll make something delicious for you. Do you like braised pork ribs, pickled vegetables, or chicken stewed with mushrooms? You're making me so many dishes. No, no, no. It's just one flavor. Which one do you like? Oh, whatever. I'm not picky about food. Got it. Li Fan nodded, then went to boil water to cook noodles for Dragon Girl. He cooked a large pot of instant noodles, then scooped a basin and handed it to Dragon Lady. Here, eat it. What is this? Yangchun noodles? You're fooling me. Try it first. Oomph. If it's not delicious, I'll... Dragon Lady took a bite and her eyes lit up. Then she hugged the basin and started eating the instant noodles in big mouthfuls. Soon, she finished the basin of noodles. She even finished the noodle soup in one go and patted her stomach in satisfaction. Delicious, so delicious. How can there be such delicious noodles? It's delicious, right? Li Fan winked at Dragon Lady. I'll let you eat this every day from now on. Okay? Good, good, good. My good disciple, I was wrong about you. So you're a good person. Of course. This noodles is very expensive. I'm starting to pay out of my own pocket to support you. Li Fan's face was filled with emotion. Everything is for you, my Lord Dragon Lady. Good, good, good. Hurry up and prepare more. I want to eat this every day from now on. Don't worry about money. If it's not enough, just ask the general. How can I let the country worry about such a small matter? I want to take the initiative to share the country's worries. Leave your food to me. Although this kind of instant noodles is very expensive, you can eat as much as you want. Don't stand on ceremony. You can eat as much as you want. You're so kind. Chapter 1083. The Dragon Lady now ate instant noodles for 3 meals a day. No, 13 meals a day. If the general were to find out, he would probably scold Li Fan to death. After all, it was all junk food. Not just instant noodles, but also potato chips, ham sausages, cola, etc. He ate them all. You're going to class? Dragon Lady saw Li Fan change into sportswear and was about to go out. She immediately grabbed a bag of potato chips and was about to follow Li Fan out. Yes, class. You can wait for me in the condominium. Looking at Dragon Lady, who was wearing cartoon pajamas, Li Fan felt that it was better to let her stay behind. I don't want to. I've said before. I'll stay by your side for the next 2 years. Dragon Lady reminded Li Fan. Don't forget, this is a university. Li Fan complained incessantly. You're not old enough. Nonsense. I studied in Beijing Normal University in my early years. I am someone who received advanced education. Dragon Lady said proudly. Don't look down on me. Damn, this sister studied in Peking University, but it will be troublesome to bring you there. You actually think I am troublesome? How many people want to worship this Dragon Lady as their master? Do you know? What can you teach me? Li Fan was so angry that he rolled his eyes. She couldn't even teach her water magic. She just followed him to eat and drink. What meant her? She made it sound so good. Sky Thunder Sword. Dragon Lady looked strangely at Li Fan. Why? Didn't Wang Luo tell you about it? Sky Thunder Sword? There's such a thing? He didn't tell me about it. Oh, right. Dragon Lady thought of something. This kid only knows mental power, so he can't learn Sky Thunder Sword. She was pleased with herself. With her hands behind her back, she said proudly, Sky Thunder Sword is a sword technique created by us Dragon Lady. It is passed down to every generation of swordsmen so that they can use it to protect China. Damn, Wang Luo didn't tell me about it. What a scam. Is this sword technique powerful? See for yourself. The Dragon Lady suddenly opened her mouth and spat out a golden sword. The sword was covered in lightning. Then, the Dragon Lady spat it out, and the sword immediately flew out, piercing through the wall of the apartment. Not only that, but even the walls of the opposite building were pierced through. In the end, it pierced through 8 buildings in a row before escaping into the void. This is Kung Fu? Li Fan was a little dumbfounded. This is the Heavenly Thunder Sword. The Dragon Lady explained. Humans can only cultivate true qi, so the Dragon Lady researched this technique, condensing true qi in the air and transforming it into a small sword. The moment he spat it out, it turned into a real sword and shot out. This damage was much stronger than the guns and cannons of those foreigners. The Shangfang sword of the third generation had once killed a true dragon with this move. This is a little unreal. Li Fan understood what the dragon lady meant, but spitting out sword from her mouth could be considered a cultivator's ability. However, in the novels, the swords that cultivators spat out were all real, treasured swords. But what the dragon lady spat out was an energy sword condensed from true chi. It was a pity that he did not have the talent to turn nothing into reality. If he mastered this ability, he would be able to spit out swords, and the lethality would probably be even stronger. Li Fan was still very excited. If he learned the Heavenly Thunder Sword, he would have another trump card other than God slaying. Do you want to learn it? I do, but I've already learned it. After Li Fan's cultivation and realm increased, the law embodiment of heaven and earth had already fused into his bones. The moment the dragon lady used it, he had already learned most of it. Nonsense, this is a divine art. How could you have learned it? The dragon lady did not believe him at all. She ate her potato chips while ridiculing Li Fan. Men should not brag. It will make them look cheap. Is that so? As Li Fan spoke, he opened his mouth and spat out a lightning sword. It instantly pierced through the window and into the sky, scattering the clouds in the sky. No, that's impossible. The dragon lady's mouth was agape, and even the potato chips fell to the ground. This heavenly thunder sword was a secret technique created by the dragon lady. The first generation was the most talented apprentice, but it took him 10 years to learn it. This Li Fan actually learned it at a glance? All right, are there any other moves you want to teach me? Li Fan asked. There's still the dragon sword technique. The dragon lady was flustered and exasperated. Practice it and see. I don't want to. The dragon lady refused. I'll let you learn it at a glance. I won't let you see it. I'll teach you 2 years later. Too stingy. Li Fan suggested. If you teach me, I'll give you a box of instant noodles every day. No. Faced with such a strong temptation, the dragon lady actually resisted. I have to teach you 2 years later. Otherwise, you won't be obedient. All right, but you still have to stay at home. No, I want to go to class with you. Absolutely not. All right, stay here obediently. There are a lot of snacks in the box, enough for you to eat. I'll be back after class. Remember not to run around. All right, the dragon lady was very disappointed as she curled up on the sofa. Be obedient. I'm going out now. I'll bring you delicious food when I come back. Then I want to eat fried chicken. And Li Fan agreed and went out. The dragon lady watched a Korean drama alone in the condominium and felt very bored. Why can't I go to class? The dragon lady felt that something was wrong no matter how she thought about it. This guy is probably doing something bad and doesn't dare to let me follow him. No, I'm his mentor. I have to supervise him at all times. The dragon lady confirmed her target. She picked up a backpack and stuffed a few bags of potato chips inside. After thinking for a moment, she stuffed a few more bags of spicy sticks before leaving with a clear conscience. The dragon lady nibbled on the potato chips as she walked outside. Not long after she left, she got lost. The university nowadays was so big. Why was it so big? The dragon lady looked at the tall buildings around her. She had no idea which one was Li Fan's class. The university in the past was not so big. It was just one building. Is it this one? The dragon lady walked towards the building in front of her, but she was stopped by the auntie at the door. Hey, you're not allowed to enter. How can a little girl barge into the boys' dormitory? Boys' dormitory? The dragon lady thought for a long time. It seemed to be where the boys slept. How could there be such a place? Excuse me, do you know where the Shangfang class is? The dragon lady asked the auntie. What Shangfang? Where did this little girl come from? Go find your adults. Hey, do you know who I am? How dare you speak to me like this? I'm the supreme little dragon lady. Not even Yanghua. Hurry up and leave. Chapter 1084. Dragon Girl was kicked out of the male dormitory. She walked on the grassy path, her mind in turmoil. Damn bastard. How dare he leave me here alone? I'm so angry. I've lost my appetite. As Dragon Lady walked, she took big bites of potato chips. She was surrounded by G University students. One after another, they walked past Dragon Girl and looked curiously at this cute little lowly. Which school is this little girl from? Probably from a nearby middle school. She's so cute. Hearing the discussions around her, Dragon Girl became even more unhappy. These stupid humans. Do they have the right to comment on this Dragon Girl? Damn it. Where's that bastard? Dragon Girl walked and walked. Unknowingly, she walked out of the campus and arrived outside. She looked at the heavy traffic outside. Although she had seen it once, she could not help but be shocked. After sleeping for so many years, humans seem to have developed quickly. These metal boxes running on the ground seem to have become more beautiful and faster. There was an endless stream of carriages and people coming and going, making Dragon Lady feel very refreshed. She walked and ate. Soon, she was far away. At the same time, she finished all the food in her backpack. It's gone so quickly. I should have brought more. Dragon Girl shook her clean backpack and could not help but sigh. She continued walking along the street. When she saw a passerby, she went up to him and asked, "Hey, do you know where Li Fan is?" "What Li Fan?" "I don't know." Although she was a pretty girl, her tone was a little bad. The person shook off Dragon Girl's hand and walked away. What kind of attitude is this? Humans are getting more and more impolite. Dragon Girl curled her lips in anger. She continued walking on the street, trying to find Li Fan. There were strangers everywhere. Everyone was looking at her strangely. Dragon Girl's initial novelty was gone. She slowly began to panic. Damn it, she must be hungry. Dragon Girl walked to the side of the street. When she saw a roadside stall selling paella, she immediately stopped walking. "Little girl, do you want paella?" The stall owner asked while stir-frying the paella. "My paella is very authentic. I guarantee you'll want more." "Oh, which one is the most delicious?" "Forget it. I'll have one of each," Dragon Lady said while drooling. "So many. Are you buying it for your family?" The boss did a rough calculation. "Then just give me 380 yuan. I don't want a small change." "Money? Just ask Li Fan for the money." "Who is Li Fan?" "My disciple. He's in charge of my meals." "Where is he?" "I'm looking for it." "Are you stupid?" The boss was speechless for a long time before he chased the dragoness away. Damn it, damn it. Dragon Girl was furious. This bastard actually chased her away. Don't these stupid mortals know what it means to respect a dragon lady? How dare he treat me like this? If not for the rule of not attacking mortals, the dragon lady would have killed him long ago. But his pious seemed to be pretty good. It would be a pity to destroy it. Li Fan, where are you? I'm so hungry. Dragon Lady was about to cry. She wandered the streets for a long time. The sky was starting to darken. Dragon Lady's stomach was growling. She was about to go crazy. At this moment, a black Mercedes-Benz stopped in front of her and blocked her way. Hey, don't block the way, bastard. Dragon Lady was a little angry. Why was she so unlucky today? It was all that damned Li Fan's fault. Beautiful lady, do you want to go eat something together? The window rolled down. A slender gentleman sat in the car and invited Dragon Lady. Eat something? Dragon Lady's stomach growled. Yes, do you want to go? You can eat whatever you want. Of course. I didn't expect you to be so sensible. Dragon Lady was happy. So there was still a sensible person here. Beautiful lady, please get in the car. The door opened and Dragon Lady jumped in without hesitation. Go, 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 don't waste time. The Dragon Lady beamed. She could finally have a good meal. Li Fan, even if I don't rely on you, this lady can still eat her fill. Beautiful lady, what do you want to eat? Young Master Sun Liang sat in his luxurious car and looked at the beautiful lowly beside him. His lower body could not help but swell. He had played with many women, but he only liked one, and that was Lolis. Only these tender Lolis had the most feeling when playing with them. Furthermore, they were very easy to deceive. As long as he treated them a little better, they would immediately become dizzy. The one in front of him was the same. Since this exquisite lowly had gotten into his car, she could forget about getting off. I'll eat whatever is delicious. I'm not picky, Dragon Lady said very generously. Then I'll bring you to eat Western food. I know a good Western restaurant with a good environment. Sun Liang suggested. Sure, I know Western food, steak. Dragon Lady licked her lips. It's barely edible. Dragon Lady's cute appearance made Sun Liang even more tempted. This woman, she can't run away. Tonight, I'll eat her. Sun Liang asked the driver to drive to the Western restaurant and sat in the private room. The waiter walked over with the menu in his arms. "Dear sir, miss, what would you like to eat?" "It's too troublesome to order." Dragon Lady had always been traditional. "Give me a portion of everything." "Eh?" The waiter was stunned, but Sun Liang smiled. Was this girl trying to make things difficult for him on purpose? This was nothing. "Just do as Miss said. Bring it up one portion at a time." "Yes, sir." The waiter went down. "No matter what you want to eat, it's fine." Sun Liang was still intentionally showing off his wealth. "To me, this is just a small amount of money." "That's good. If you don't have enough money, you could just ask Li Fan." "Li Fan? Who is that?" The young master guessed for a moment, and then forgot this name. No matter who he was, tonight, this loli belonged to him. He wanted to make her moan under him. "Beautiful lady, what's your name?" "Just call me Dragon Lady." "Dragon Lady? It seems that you quite like the sense of mystery." Sun Liang's smile became even wider. "I also like the sense of mystery. We can have more fun tonight." "You're bringing me to play? All right, let's go if you're full." Dragon Lady laughed heartily. Humans nowadays seem to be pretty good. Very quickly, the dishes were served one after another. Dragon Lady was not polite at all. Under Sun Liang's shocked gaze, she swept away the dishes one by one. Very quickly, Sun Liang was speechless. This woman, how much could she eat? Chapter 1085. A single meal. A single meal cost 120,000. Even if Sun Liang was mentally prepared, he couldn't help but feel the pain. 120,000 was enough to book a small celebrity for a few days. He must ruthlessly fuck her back. One night. No, 1 month. Sun Liang had a good idea, but the dragon girl in front of him put down the empty plate and asked again. "Okay, I'm 70% full. Is there any dessert after the meal?" Sun Liang's face twitched, but since he had already given the food to the other party, it didn't matter. But he couldn't give it to her for free. "Of course, dear Miss Dragon Girl." Sun Liang said, "I have some delicious desserts at home. Do you want to come over and eat?" Okay. The dragon girl didn't doubt it at all, and even felt that Sun Liang was very kind. "Then what are we waiting for? Let's go." Okay, Miss Dragon Girl, this way please." Sun Liang was overjoyed. It seemed like he was going to have fun tonight. What wealth and happiness could compare to a moment of spring? Sun Liang endured the heat in his heart. He was now a good hunter waiting for his prey to take the bait, waiting for the dragon girl to jump into his trap. The two of them sat in a big Benz and arrived at Sun Liang's villa. Speaking of which, this steak is quite delicious. Later on, let Li Fan bring me to eat it often. As they entered the villa, the dragon girl was still muttering. "Miss Dragon Girl, I have already prepared a candlelight dinner." Sun Liang brought the dragon girl to the dining table. He had already prepared pastries in advance and placed them on the table. There were also 3 candles lit on the side. The room was dimly lit and the flames flickered. The dragon girl frowned. "Why didn't you turn on the lights? It's inconvenient to eat in the dark." Sun Liang was speechless. This loli seemed to be too young, as if she had no feelings for matters of the heart. But it didn't matter. As long as she came into contact with his rui water, no matter how chaste she would have to obediently submit to him. There was a huge 3-layer cake on the table, and the sweet smell of cream had already made the dragon girl salivate. Without waiting for Sun Liang to turn on the lights, the dragon girl had already cut a large piece of cake and stuffed it into her mouth. "Eat slowly. We can also drink some red wine to liven things up," Sun Liang suggested. Sure. When it came to food, the dragon lady did not reject any. Sun Liang snapped his fingers, and the servant immediately brought a bottle of red wine and poured it for the two of them. Sun Liang glanced at the servant, and the servant nodded. "Come, have a taste of my red wine. It's all from my collection in the cellar. It's the best Bordeaux." Yes. Sun Liang was dumbfounded. In the time it took to pour a cup of wine, Dragon Lady had already wiped out a layer of cake. Was this the speed of eating? It was too exaggerated. Sun Liang pressed his forehead. Forget it, it didn't matter if he could eat. as long as he could work. However, this girl was also strange. She could eat so much, yet she wasn't fat at all. Her figure was very slim, a standard Lolita figure, which made it difficult for Sun Liang to control himself. Tonight, I must have a good time. After all, it was very difficult to come across such top-grade goods. At the thought of this, Sun Liang was a little excited, and he couldn't wait to push down the lowly in front of him. However, the time was not ripe yet. Once she drank the wine, she would naturally be at his mercy. Don't just eat, drink something to ease your appetite. Sun Liang pushed the red wine in front of her again. Yes, yes. Dragon Lady didn't doubt him, picked up the wine cup, and drank the red wine in one gulp. It's quite delicious. Dragon Lady held the wine cup. Give me another cup. Forget it, give it all to me. The dragon girl took the bottle and directly drank from it. Under Sun Liang's astonished gaze, the whole bottle of red wine was drunk by her. Although it was only red wine, it still had a lingering effect. Drinking so much in one go, Sun Liang felt that he didn't even need the Rui water. However, Dragon Lady drank an entire bottle, and nothing happened, and continued to eat her cake calmly. Is it delicious? It's delicious. Dragon Lady licked the cream on her lips and nodded. It's just that it's a bit too little. Just one more would be enough. Then aren't you sleepy? Am I the kind of person who would be sleepy after eating? Dragon Lady immediately emphasized. What's more, I'm not full yet. Sun Liang was speechless for a long time. He glared at his servant. The servant hurriedly shook his head, indicating that he let go of the medicine. That's impossible. Sun Liang pondered for a long time. This Rui water can even put down an elephant, let alone a little lowly. I'm thirsty. Is there anything else to drink? Dragon Lady ate a bit thirsty. You should drink this. Sun Liang took out the brand of Rui water and placed the whole bottle in front of Dragon Lady. He had used this Rui water many times, and it worked every time, so there shouldn't be any problems. Dragon Lady didn't hesitate and directly drank the whole bottle. The taste is not bad. Dragon Lady licked her lips. You have a lot of delicious food here. I will come often in the future. Sun Liang didn't know what to say. He was very embarrassed now. After drinking the whole bottle, Dragon Lady still sat there calmly and continued to eat the cake without any abnormal look. Maybe it's a bit slow. Sun Liang endured and waited for the effect of Rui water to take effect. After the dragoness finished eating the entire cake, she licked her fingers clean and sat there perfectly fine. Nothing had happened to her. Thank you for your offering. It's delicious. Now I'm full. I'm going home. Come back next time. Dragon Lady touched her belly, got up, and was about to leave. Wait a minute. Sun Liang hurriedly called out to her. What's wrong? Dragon Lady turned her head and looked at Sun Liang strangely, not knowing what he wanted. Do you have any fruits after dinner? You're so sensible. Take them all out. Sun Liang was completely speechless. Wasn't this a joke? What should he do now? Since wine didn't work, it seemed that it was time to use force. After eating so much of me and spending so much of my money, you want to leave now? Sun Liang revealed his true colors, waved his hand, and a few bodyguards blocked in front of Dragon Lady. What else do you want? Dragon Lady didn't react and looked at Sun Liang. How did the kind person who just treated her to a meal become so evil in the blink of an eye? Damn, if I don't sleep with you, don't think about going anywhere. You want to sleep with me? Dragon Lady was a little surprised, but humans and dragons can't have a relationship, so I'm sorry. What nonsense are you talking about? Hold her down. Sun Liang bellowed, and a few bodyguards rushed over to hold Dragoness down. But Dragon Lady reached out, grabbed a 9-meter-tall bodyguard, and casually threw him out. Chapter 1086. Seeing the burly man fall more than 10 meters away and finally hit the wall, Sun Liang could not help but widen his eyes. As for the other tall bodyguard, he definitely weighed 200 pounds, but at this time the petite dragon girl grabbed his arm and threw him left and right like a toy. How? How is this possible? This lowly. Is she a humanoid monster? Sun Liang was a little confused. The existence of this little lowly had already exceeded his common sense. When the lowly carried a burly man and sent all his bodyguards flying, Sun Liang finally reacted. This is not a human. She is a demon. Help! Demon! Sun Liang turned around and wanted to run, but the lowly had appeared in front of the living room door and blocked his way. Dragon Girl sat on the cabinet in front of the living room door, swinging her white legs and sighing. You said you wanted me to exercise a bit. In the end, the food I just ate was digested the moment I moved. Dragon Girl grabbed a burly man with one hand and threw him to the side. How are you going to compensate me? Save me. Monster! Monster! Sun Liang screamed and turned around, wanting to escape again. Dragon Girl jumped to the ground and kicked the burly man beside her. The burly man was kicked up like a ball, and in the blink of an eye, he crashed into Sun Liang's body and knocked him down. Humans are stupid. They always like to challenge the dragon's might. Dragon Girl stretched. I'm full and want to sleep. Where's Leaf Fan? Damn monster, go to hell. Sun Liang took out a pistol from the drawer beside him and aimed it at Dragon Girl. I don't care if you're a demon or not. Go to hell. Sun Liang fired a few shots in a row, and the bullet casings scattered everywhere. However, not everyone could use a pistol well. Sun Liang was spoiled and did not have the strength to truss a chicken. And a pistol was very powerful, especially the Colt in his hand. The recoil was very strong. Sun Liang fired 6 shots in a row, but all the bullets missed. The dragon lady stood there, unmoved. Foreign guns and cannons? This thing can't scare me. As the dragon lady spoke, she stretched out her hand, grabbed the 3-meter-long sofa beside her, and threw it out, smashing it on Sun Liang. Sun Liang fainted from the impact. Humans are so weak. The dragoness shook her head and prepared to leave. However, at this time, a group of bodyguards in black suits surrounded the villa from 3 floors to the left and 3 floors to the right. He's the one who hurt the young master. Arrest her. The bodyguards were all holding taser guns and aiming them at Dragon Girl. So many people. Are they all here to offer me food? Dragon Lady made a naive guess, but the bodyguards pulled the trigger. Several taser guns hit Dragon Lady's body. The blue electric light flickered. The taser gun that could electrocute an elephant seemed to have lost its effect. Dragoness stood there, her hands on her waist as she looked at the men in black suits. Strange, what are you doing? The bodyguards were dumbfounded. What was going on? Is there something wrong with the stun gun? But there shouldn't be something wrong with so many of them at the same time. Looks like you're not here to offer tribute. Dragon Lady sighed. Humans nowadays really don't fear the gods anymore. The bodyguards in front of her looked left and right, not knowing what to do. At this moment, Dragon Lady suddenly opened her small mouth and let out a roar. The sound waves swept through the entire courtyard. In the blink of an eye, all the bodyguards were stunned, motionless. Following that, all the bodyguards' faces turned pale, their eyes lost their luster, and they collapsed to the ground, unconscious. As expected of the Dragon Lady, the commotion she caused is really big. At this moment, a figure stood on a street lamp beside the courtyard. He wore a green coat, crossed his arms, and looked at Dragon Lady below. This aura is the 4 sacred beasts. Your senses are really sharp. The other party's lips curled up. You're really lucky today. Looks like your guardian isn't by your side. Who knows where he died to? Dragon Lady curled her lips. You really know how to find opportunities. 12 heavenly generals. We will completely annihilate the last sacred beast. As he spoke, he wore an azure dragon mask. This world doesn't need the power of sacred beasts. A battle that has lasted for thousands of years, Dragon Lady sighed. Azure Dragon, I'm afraid that's not your only goal, right? From what I know, you even joined China's Dove faction and brought the power of the 4 sacred beasts to them. That's right, the 4 of us are the strongest existences in this world. It's better to destroy the pugilistic world as soon as possible. Stop joking, you're just humans. Dragon Lady reminded the man wearing the Azure Dragon mask. Do you really think you're invincible just because you've obtained the power of the 4 sacred beasts? Huh, let me kill you first. Azure Dragon seemed to be very happy. A dragon lady who has lived for more than 1,000 years should be made into a good weapon. Come out. Azure Dragon Power. As he spoke, he stretched out his right hand, holding a green jade in the shape of an azure dragon. Arm. A green light enveloped his body, and in a blink of an eye, he put on an ancient green armor. At the same time, he held a green spear in his hand. The spear's body was like a long dragon. Dragon head with spear, dragon tail with beads. Azure Dragon. Being made into a weapon, you should be very sad. Dragon Lady sat on the stairs and looked at the man standing on the street lamp. I can hear your soul crying. Haha, to be made into Azure Dragon Arm is the honor of the 4 sacred beasts. Azure Dragon said arrogantly. In this world, only humans are at the top of the food chain. Dragon Lady, open your eyes and look at this world. Look at us humans. Is there any existence stronger than us? Even a dragon lady like you is just our prisoner. I won't die like this, Dragon Lady said as she looked at the street outside. Want to escape? In the hands of me, Azure Dragon? Oomph. Dragon Lady pulled up the electric pole by the side and threw it out. Azure Dragon stood on the electric pole and waved his spear, cutting the electric pole into 2. At this moment, Dragon Lady had already jumped onto the street outside. She quickly ran and stepped on the speeding car. With a leap, she jumped onto the overpass on the opposite side. With another leap, she jumped onto the roof of a building and continued to escape. Want to escape? Azure Dragon laughed in disdain. Little prey, let's see where you can escape to. With that, Azure Dragon tapped his feet and soared into the sky. He threw out his spear and stepped on it. The back of the spear spewed out a green energy, like an aircraft. Stepping on it, he chased after the dragon girl like a jade tree in the wind. Chapter 1087. In a short 10 minutes, Dragon Lady had already run 10 kilometers. When Dragon Lady turned around, Azure Dragon was steadily chasing behind her. Stepping on his spear, he flew in the air leisurely. You can't escape from my palm. The Azure Dragon transmitted. Little prey, you look too ugly like this. Damn it. Dragon Lady was a little annoyed. She jumped down from the 10-meter-tall building and landed on the ground. Dragon Lady's feet created a pit on the ground. She jumped forward and lifted a truck in front of her and threw it into the air. The truck turned around in the air and smashed towards Azure Dragon, who was in midair. Childish. Azure Dragon was disdainful. He lowered his body, and it was as if his entire body had become one with the Azure Dragon's spear. He directly charged at the truck, broke through it, and passed through it. Boom! The truck exploded in the air. Azure Dragon was already flying close to the ground, chasing after Dragon Lady, who was escaping. You can't escape. This is too ugly. Azure Dragon continued to tease Dragon Lady. Why don't you stop, and I can let you die with dignity? Who wants to care about you? Dragon Lady was running when she suddenly stopped and turned around to look at Azure Dragon. Forget it. I won't run anymore. I can't outrun you anyway. You understand? Azure Dragon also came to a sudden stop and jumped down from his great spear. He stood in front of Dragon Lady. Are you going to surrender? Yes, I surrender. I surrender. Dragon Lady raised her hands. I'm tired of running. I won't run anymore. You win. That's more like it. Azure Dragon nodded his head in satisfaction. He extended his hand, and the Azure Dragon great spear flew to his side. It floated in the air and pointed at Dragon Lady. Don't worry. I will set you free soon. Ellie Fan, you're here. Dragon Lady suddenly looked behind Azure Dragon and shouted excitedly. What? The Protector is here? Azure Dragon frowned and turned his head to look behind him. But the moment he turned his head, he felt something was wrong. Azure Dragon's great spear flew up, and with a clang, it knocked away a golden sword. Thunderlight sword? Azure Dragon sneered. You actually plan a counterattack? Are you looking down on me, Lord Azure Dragon? By the way, do you have any last words? Hey, Leaf Fan, you're here? The dragoness widened her eyes. Haha, do you think I will be fooled again? The Azure Dragon sneered. Your final struggle is too unsightly. As he spoke, he extended 2 fingers and pointed at the Dragon Lady. The Azure Dragon Great Spear seemed to have come to life as it shot towards Dragon Lady. At this moment, a golden sword fell from the sky and stabbed into the ground, blocking Dragon Lady's path. Dang! With a loud bang, the golden sword bounced off the spear. A man in sportswear placed one foot on the hilt of a sword and looked at Dragon Lady behind him. Did you miss me? Bastardly fan, what took you so long? Please, I've been looking for you for a long time. Li Fan couldn't help but complain. In the end, I had to follow the Shang Fong sword to find you. In the end, my sword is still the most reliable. Are the two of you done chatting? The Azure Dragon crossed his arms and looked at Li Fan in front of him. You are this generation's Shang Fong sword? Who is this cosplayer? Li Fan pointed at the man wearing the Azure Dragon armor and asked, Oh, this is one of the 4 sacred beasts, the Azure Dragon. Didn't the 4 sacred beasts escape? In the end, they were still killed by humans. The Dragon Lady laughed bitterly. Furthermore, they were made into the ultimate weapons of humans and passed down from generation to generation. Their mission is to kill all of the sacred beasts. Oh. In other words, they want to eliminate you 12 sacred beasts? Wrong. Let me interrupt for a moment. I don't like the word eliminate. It's too ugly. The Azure Dragon interrupted from the side. I feel that purification is more suitable. All living beings that are stronger than humans should be eliminated. We, the 4 sacred beasts, have this kind of mission. Not only the sacred beasts, but also China's wuxia power should be eliminated. What a terrifying ambition. Li Fan could not help but ask, without wuxia, do you know how many people will invade this place? Do you think that our goal is only China? The Azure Dragon laughed. Our goal is the entire world, not only China's wuxia, but also all the superhuman powers in foreign countries. We will eliminate them all. Really scary. Don't you think it's a bit too much? Who gave you the right? Power is power. The Azure Dragon said without hesitation. When humans are hunting those large animals that are a threat to humans, when have they ever asked their feelings? Guardian, don't forget, the weak are prey to the strong. This is the law of this world. I beg to differ. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. Why are you talking nonsense with him? Quickly chase him away. The Dragon Lady shouted. I'm hungry. I want to go back and eat instant noodles. You heard it too. Li Fan kicked the Shang Fong sword. This Shang Fong sword was pulled out from the ground and shot towards the Azure Dragon. Dang! The Azure Dragon called back his spear, holding in his hand. He flicked away Li Fan's sword. A mere Chinese martial artist dares to provoke me? Too ugly. Try it first. Li Fan has already jumped in front of the Azure Dragon. At the same time, he slashed down with his palm. This palm is as fast as lightning, descending from the sky, heading straight for the Azure Dragon's forehead. The Azure Dragon raised his great spear with both hands, blocking above his head. Dang! Another metal bell chime. The Azure Dragon's great spear actually sank down. Impossible. The Azure Dragon is somewhat surprised. You actually have this kind of strength. In the Azure Dragon's heart, Li Fan's strength should be around the peak of perfection. But he did not expect that in their first clash, Li Fan already has the strength of a generation's Grandmaster. Indeed, a top human power. Looks like you have already used the Shang Fong sword's return sword. It's still early. I don't need to use it to deal with you. Li Fan has full confidence in his own strength. Even if this Azure Dragon has the strength of a holy beast, it is impossible for him to reach a state that surpasses a normal person. According to what the Dragon Lady said, a human's body can only withstand a limited amount of power. Holy rank should be the limit. This man who calls himself the Azure Dragon should not have a strength that surpasses holy rank. Li Fan can already use Return Sword. With this trump card, he has confidence. Furthermore, according to the strength of the 12 holy beasts, this Azure Dragon should not be much stronger. Damn it! The Azure Dragon also miscalculated Li Fan's strength. His eyes burst out with a green radiance. Following that, he swung the great spear in his hand, pushing Li Fan out. The strength of 20 dragons. Li Fan has already calculated. Holy beasts are indeed very strong, but it is not to the extent of being impossible to deal with. Chapter 1088. I just inherited the power of the holy beast, so I can't fully unleash this power. The azure dragon coldly snorted, "Too ugly." It's pretty ugly. Li Fan did not even wear his flying lion armor. With his martial skill, he could still deal with someone who was 10 dragons stronger than him. You brat only have half of my strength. Even if you use sword returning, you can only last for a minute. The azure dragon warned Li Fan, but I also have a secret manual to increase my strength. As long as you can endure for a minute, your end will come. Who said I'm going to use sword returning? Li Fan laughed. Just by relying on martial skill, I can defeat you. After Li Fan entered the Grandmaster realm, he did not delay training his strength. His current strength was around 13 dragons, all of which were refined energy. You've underestimated my azure dragon's power. The azure dragon raised his own strength. Azure light swam around his body, bringing with it a beautiful feeling of power. Eat my spear. The azure dragon raised his spear and charged towards Li Fan, thrusting towards his throat. Li Fan leaned to the side and pushed his palm, pushing the azure dragon's spear away. Damn martial artist. Seeing that Li Fan's martial skill was not ordinary, the azure dragon was somewhat vexed. He took a step back and swept his spear horizontally, directly using sweeping thousand army. Let's see if he can block this move. Guardian. The azure dragon's spear carried a huge power. After all, the power of 20 dragons was not a joke. However, Li Fan placed both of his hands on the spear and followed the azure dragon's power to pull it to the side. The azure dragon's body was pulled by his and Li Fan's combined strength, causing him to stagger forward. As for Li Fan, he grabbed a ball of energy in his hand and struck the azure dragon's waist with a dragon-spitting pearl. Bam! The azure dragon's body flew out and crashed into a truck behind him. The truck behind him was directly shattered by the distortion of the power, and raging flames burned. Azure Dragon was in a sorry state as he slowly stood up. Holding onto his spear, he shook off the flames on his body and pointed at Li Fan. "You have angered me, mere martial artist. Unwilling to admit defeat? It's too ugly." Li Fan winked at him. Azure Dragon flew into a rage. The Azure Dragon comes from the east and soars in the sky. As the Azure Dragon spoke, it suddenly leaped up and leaped tens of meters into the air. The wind seemed to be supporting his body, allowing him to temporarily float there. Lightning Spear. Azure Dragon stretched out his hand and pointed his spear at Li Fan. A bolt of lightning flashed out from the great spear and struck towards Li Fan. Ursa Major Seal. Li Fan gathered true chi on his palm and welcomed the lightning. Boom! Li Fan's palms sank, and he was forced to take 2 steps back, blood dripping from his perlicue. Li Fan's hands were still trembling. Although this thunderbolt could not be compared to natural thunderbolts, it was still very powerful. Ha ha! Azure Dragon laughed. This is the power of the Azure Dragon. Foolish martial artist, accept your punishment. As he spoke, Azure Dragon held his great spear and kept stabbing at Li Fan. Thunderbolts fell one after another, attacking Li Fan. Idiot! Li Fan snapped his fingers, and then his body suddenly disappeared from the Azure Dragon's line of sight. Azure Dragon was shocked. Where did he go? Here, idiot! Li Fan had just used Spirit Monkey to escape and arrived behind Azure Dragon. Tens of meters in the sky, Li Fan arrived in an instant. At the same time, he twisted his legs on Azure Dragon's head and twisted it with force. Twin Dragon Scissors. This was Li Fan's ultimate move. If it was a normal time, it could directly cut off a person's head. But now, he failed and only twisted Azure Dragon's neck. Lightning Spear. Lightning erupted from Azure Dragon's spear and struck Li Fan's body, sending him flying. Damn it. You brat are really hard to deal with. Azure Dragon was in a very sorry state. He twisted his neck and roared. Use your Gue sword. Let's fight fair and square. Aren't I fighting fair and square with you now? Li Fan said very directly. It's just that you can't beat me. Nonsense. Azure Dragon brandished his spear and once again released thunderbolts, wanting to attack Li Fan. But Li Fan's speed was not slow. Every time he shifted, he was able to dodge Azure Dragon's thunderbolts. The thunderbolts struck Li Fan's surroundings, charring the ground. Li Fan, stop playing around. Use Gui's sword to deal with this guy. Dragon Girl also urged, I'm hungry. What's the hurry? The fun is not over yet. Li Fan replied casually. Both of them were forcing the other to use their trump card first. Whoever revealed their trump card first would mean that they lost. Use Gui's sword for me. Azure Dragon's anger had already risen. He brandished his spear and threw out a thunderbolt. At this time, Li Fan suddenly lowered his body and rushed in front of Azure Dragon. Lightning Spear. Lightning erupted from Azure Dragon Great Spear and went straight for Li Fan's heart. Black Toad, Crossing Water. Li Fan lowered his body and almost stuck to the ground. He dodged the lightning spear and quickly arrived in front of Azure Dragon. Azure Dragon lowered his head and stabbed his spear towards Li Fan. Li Fan placed one hand on the ground and turned his body, dodging Azure Dragon's lightning spear. At the same time, Li Fan kicked out and stabbed Azure Dragon's lower abdomen. Bai nodded. Even though he was using his leg, Li Fan was still able to seal Azure Dragon's acupuncture point, causing Azure Dragon's strength to freeze. Father Bear Pile Driver. Li Fan took advantage of the moment Azure Dragon froze and grabbed Azure Dragon's collar with one hand. Then, with a beautiful shoulder throw, he fiercely smashed Azure Dragon onto the ground in front of him. Ape King Cannon. Li Fan threw a palm towards Azure Dragon, who was in the pit. Bam! Azure Dragon's body trembled as a terrifying power erupted from his body. With him as the center, spiderweb cracks spread out. Ape King Cannon was able to release the power of a cannon with one palm. Even Azure Dragon was complaining incessantly. Damn it, damn it! Azure Dragon roared. His body trembled as a powerful force struck Li Fan's body, sending Li Fan flying once again. All right, it's finally coming. Li Fan was a little excited. Feeling the power that Azure Dragon was releasing, his blood started to boil. Come quickly. I have been waiting for this moment. Azure Dragon Equipment. Release. Azure Dragon held onto his spear and let out a roar. This roar shattered the dark clouds in the sky. Following that, Azure Dragon's body emitted a green light as the armor on his body started to multiply. Very quickly, it turned into a dragon-scale armor that covered Azure Dragon's entire body. In the blink of an eye, Azure Dragon looked like a dragon man. A powerful force spread out from his body and struck the surroundings, creating a huge crater on the ground. Top-notch power. Li Fan felt how terrifying it was. Chapter 1089. After releasing his power, the Azure Dragon seemed to have the strength to rival a saint. You actually forced me to use this move first. It's too ugly. The Azure Dragon seemed to be very angry. He glared at Li Fan angrily, as if he hoped that his gaze would carry lightning and electrocute Li Fan into charcoal. Now you're like an ant. How can you be my match? Take out your Gui's sword. It can still be of some use. It's just a saint. Why should I use Gui's sword? However, Li Fan's temper flared up. He wanted to see if his martial skill could withstand the power of a saint. If it really did not work, he could just use Gui's sword. He was competing with the Azure Dragon in terms of time. Even if he was in the state of release, he could not maintain it for too long. As long as he could endure the time, he could use Gui's sword and the Azure Dragon would definitely lose. You still don't need Gui's sword. Courting death. The Azure Dragon felt humiliated when he saw that Li Fan had no intention of using Gui's sword. Cut the crap, come on. Li Fan stretched out his hands and placed them in front of him, making a fighting stance. Fool! Die! As the Azure Dragon spoke, his body suddenly carried a green light, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Li Fan. He held the lightning spear in his right hand and stabbed it towards Li Fan's eyebrows. His speed was extremely fast, really like lightning. Even with Li Fan's unique eyesight, he could not see the trajectory of the lightning spear clearly. However, Li Fan was an outstanding martial artist. He could judge where the Azure Dragon was going to stab based on the movement of his shoulders. Li Fan almost brushed past the tip of the spear and dodged the stab. However, the lightning that spread out from the spear tip still affected Li Fan's body. A kind of numb feeling made Li Fan's ability to move a little slower. At the same time, the Azure Dragon stretched out his left palm and released a lightning bolt that struck Li Fan's chest. Li Fan took a step back and spat out a mouthful of blood. This caused his internal organs to turn upside down, and he felt as if all 5 of his viscera had received a considerable impact. A martial sage was indeed a martial sage. This power was like an avalanche that crashed on Li Fan's body. He originally wanted to make a move, but when he took a step forward, he felt another wave of pain in his body, causing him to kneel on the ground subconsciously and spit out another mouthful of blood. Ha ha! This is the power of a martial sage, bastard. The Azure Dragon laughed heartily. His expression was one of joy, as if he was already determined to kill Li Fan. All right, Protector, you can die in peace. The Azure Dragon walked in front of Li Fan, raised his great spear, and stabbed towards Li Fan's head. However, at this moment, the Great War God popped out and grabbed Azure Dragon's spear. The lightning struck the Great War God's body, causing the Great War God's image to continuously shake. What? The Azure Dragon was shocked. You might not know, but in martial arts, this move is called the Martial God True Body. Li Fan spat out a mouthful of turbid air. Compared to the divine skills that you guys use, I prefer to use martial skills to determine victory. The Dragoness had once told him that China had a few attacking techniques. For ordinary grandmasters of combat, they trained in combat skills. For grandmasters of martial arts, they trained in martial skills. But for divine beasts and existences like Shang Feng's sword, they trained in divine skills. Liberation, sword return, these were all worthy of being divine skills. And Li Fan chose the martial god. At this moment, although the Great War God was shaking due to the lightning strike, his image was much clearer. After fighting with Yu Shi, Li Fan began to study the martial God True Body in depth. Since Yu Shi and the others favored this move so much, it meant that there was still value in improving the martial God True Body. Child's play. The Azure Dragon stretched out his left palm and released a bolt of lightning towards Li Fan's Great War God, destroying Li Fan's martial God True Body. I've been waiting for this moment. However, Li Fan laughed. He tapped on the Azure Dragon's body, which was full of flaws. Li Fan's true chi pierced through the Azure Dragon's armor and entered his acupuncture point. The Azure Dragon's body slightly stiffened, but in the blink of an eye, he returned to normal. However, what Li Fan wanted was this instant. In the time that the Azure Dragon's body stiffened, he had already entered his embrace, and at the same time, the Ape King cannon smashed onto the Azure Dragon's chest. Bam! The Azure Dragon's chest armor was directly shattered. He took a step back and looked at Li Fan in front of him in shock. Damn martial fighter, how dare you injure me? The Azure Dragon's eyes widened as he looked at the broken armor on his chest in disbelief. You're welcome, Li Fan laughed. Are you satisfied? I'm going to kill you. The Azure Dragon's face was somewhat sinister as he looked at Li Fan viciously. Go and die for me. He raised his great spear, and the tip of the spear released a strong electric light, which instantly struck Li Fan's body. Li Fan's body was not lightly injured. This time, he was unable to dodge and was hit head-on. He knelt on the ground as the electric light continuously tore his body. I will slowly torture you and let you know my terror. As the Azure Dragon roared, the dragon girl stretched out her hands and grabbed onto an SUV beside her. She threw the SUV towards the Azure Dragon. Fool! The Azure Dragon spat out a bolt of lightning, which directly turned the SUV into dust in the air. I think I should kill you first. The Azure Dragon's mouth was aimed at the dragon girl's direction. This is the end. At this time, Li Fan slowly raised his head and struggled to stand up from the ground. What? The Azure Dragon's eyes widened while Li Fan sneered. Didn't you notice? Your power has already started to weaken. The Azure Dragon's power has also reached its limit. The Azure Dragon's green light was slowly fading. He was too pleased with himself earlier and indeed neglected his strengthening time. Now it should be my turn. Li Fan stretched out his hand, and the Shangfang sword flew into his hand. Didn't you want to taste the Gui sword? As you wish. Li Fan held the Shangfang sword in his hand as his pair of eyes emitted a golden light. Too ugly. As the Azure Dragon spoke, he suddenly leaped into the air and turned into a bolt of lightning to escape. Hey! Li Fan spat out a mouthful of blood. What sacred beast? Only SOSO. Are you crazy? You idiot. The dragon girl sat on the roof of the car and looked at Li Fan with anger in her eyes. If you had used the Gui sword from the beginning, you would have already defeated him, right? If the Gui sword is so powerful, then why are the four sacred beasts still alive? Li Fan swallowed a rejuvenation pill and slowly stood up. He looked at the dragon girl and asked, "This?" The dragon girl was stunned for a moment. This question had indeed stumped her. The Gui sword. The time is too short. The dragon girl sighed. Compared to the release of the four sacred beasts, it is only evenly matched. Chapter 1090. This is incredible. Luo Xiaofeng's rejuvenation pill was indeed very powerful. After eating one, Li Fan's internal injuries had mostly recovered. This sword of Gui can only be used as a trump card. If I use it casually, what effect would it have? Li Fan sheathed the Shangfang sword back into its scabbard. What I want is not to be evenly matched with them. I want to use Sword of Gui to kill them when they are least expecting it. But this time, he's been on guard against my Sword of Gui. I'm afraid, even if I use it, it won't have any effect. I might as well keep it and use my martial skill to deter him. You actually considered so much. Dragon Girl touched her smooth chin and couldn't help but want to praise Li Fan. I'm hungry. Li Fan was speechless. This woman, other than eating, what else did she know? Is this your catchphrase? Li Fan asked. No, this is an instinctive reaction. I am indeed hungry. Dragoness rubbed her flat belly. Look, I'm so skinny from hunger. Didn't you eat just now? I ate a little. Just now, a very good human offered me a lot of food. Steak, foie gras sauce, they taste pretty good. Li Fan's eyebrows twitched. This girl, don't tell me she's addicted to eating. But instant noodles are still the best. I want to eat spicy and sour. That's good. I'll make it for you when we get back. The humans nowadays are only offering some food, yet they want to mate with me. Li Fan had not cleaned up his blood clot. Hearing this, he couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. No wonder someone would inexplicably invite Dragon Girl to eat so many big meals. So it turned out that they had ulterior motives? In the future, can you don't casually eat food given by passersby? Li Fan asked. Why not? Those are the food they offer to me. Dragon Girl tilted her head and looked at Li Fan with a face full of doubt. This is their responsibility and obligation. Li Fan didn't know what to say. This woman was like a lifeblood to food. However, food was the most important thing for the people. There was nothing wrong with that. I can't take it anymore. I'm so hungry. Take me home. The dragon lady's repeated requests left Li Fan with no choice but to take her away. However, Dragoness stretched out her hand and tugged at Li Fan's sleeve, almost causing Li Fan to tumble. What else? Carry me on your back. I'm so hungry that I don't have any strength left. How did this look like he had no strength? Li Fan wanted to cry, but had no tears. This strength, don't be too much. Hurry up. I'm really hungry. The dragon girl rubbed her belly and looked pitifully at Li Fan. You are my guardian. You have to be responsible for my belly. Okay, let's do it. Li Fan had no choice. He really couldn't do anything to this dragon lady. Other than being a little arrogant, this little girl was pretty good. There was nothing she could do about being arrogant. A dragon lady who had lived for more than 1,000 years was naturally different from ordinary people. Come on, climb up. Li Fan gestured to Dragoness. Are you crazy? How am I supposed to get up like this? Squat down. Li Fan had no choice. Sometimes, Dragoness was like a child. He could only squat down in front of Dragoness and let her lie on his back. Talk to me about the 4 sacred beasts. After Li Fan carried Dragoness on his back, he asked as he walked back, "The four sacred beasts. Each of them is a freak." When Dragoness thought of them, she could not help but feel sorrowful. They have used the power of the four sacred beasts for generations and have always been enemies with us 12 sacred beasts. After so many years, I wonder how many of the 12 sacred beasts have died in their hands. Dead? Then how did the new 12 sacred beasts come about? Li Fan could not help but ask. The souls of the dead 12 sacred beasts will continue to reincarnate. Dragoness explained, "That's why we often search for the new 12 sacred beasts. So that's how it is. It's also an ill-fated relationship." Li Fan sighed. Why is there a need to kill generation after generation? Some things are hard to explain. Dragoness muttered, "I don't like it either. But grudges are grudges. I can't stop it." "Is that so?" "Yes. I hope that this grudge can be ended in your generation." "Is this your wish?" Li Fan suddenly asked solemnly. "Of course." Dragoness seemed to be a little sleepy. Her voice was a little groggy. "But every generation. It's not possible." So sleepy. Li Fan heard a light breathing sound beside his ear. Dragoness seemed to have fallen asleep. This girl, he really could not do anything to her. Li Fan carried her all the way back to the apartment. Not long after Li Fan came back, he took a shower and came out of the bathroom wearing a bathrobe. This student apartment is good. It's so convenient to take a shower. However, it was still a secret that Li Fan lived here. After all, if Zhao Yingjun and the rest knew, it would be troublesome. Therefore, Li Fan announced to the public that he went out to rent a house. But just as Li Fan sat down, he heard a knock on the door. Li Fan was a little surprised. Who could it be? In the school, who would know that I live here? Li Fan thought for a moment. It seems like it's only Liao Wushuang and senior sister Lu Wan. Could it be Lu Wan? Thinking of his tenderness with senior sister, Li Fan's body heated up. It's been a long time since he had tenderness with senior sister. Li Fan was looking forward to it. Although Dragoness is here, she is sleeping so soundly. There should be no problem. Dragoness really can eat and sleep. After she falls asleep, she won't wake up for at least 12 hours. Even thunder and fire can't wake her up. Coming. Hearing the urgent ringtone, Li Fan quickened his pace, walked to the door, and opened it. But when he opened the door, it was none other than Jean Qimo, who was covered in blood. Jean Qimo? What's wrong? Li Fan was shocked. How can it be this girl? He quickly helped Jean Qimo up and carried her to the sofa. At the same time, Li Fan checked her wounds. Sorry for the offense. Li Fan tore off Jean Qimo's coat. She wrapped her chest in a traditional bandage. But this is not the main point. Li Fan checked her body and found at least 30 to 40 wounds of various sizes. A few of the wounds were so ghastly that they could almost take Jean Hisao's life. How tenacious! She didn't die. Li Fan took out the rejuvenation pill and wanted to feed it to Jean Qimo. But Jean Qimo was already unconscious. Obviously, she can't swallow this pill. Li Fan thought for a moment, stuffed the pill into his mouth, crushed it, and kissed Jean Qimo's lips. Chapter 1091. Jean Qimo's mouth had a slight taste of blood, but Li Fan expressed that he wouldn't mind it. So what if she suffered a loss? Li Fan fed the medicine into Jean Qimo's mouth and then pointed at an acupoint on Jean Qimo's neck. Jean Qimo's throat moved and the medicine in her mouth went into her stomach. The effect of the rejuvenation pill was heaven-defying, and Li Fan was very confident. Not long after, Jean Qimo coughed twice. Li Fan helped Jean Qimo up, and with one hand on her back, he sent true qi into her body to dissolve the medicine in her body. After a quarter of an hour, Jean Qimo finally woke up slowly. After she opened her eyes, she took a look at herself, and the first thing she did was to use praying mantis fist and poked at Li Fan's throat. At that time, Li Fan really wanted to curse. Fuck! However, he was still a grandmaster. He stretched out 5 fingers, and in a tiger's claw posture, he grabbed Jean Qimo's wrist. Is this how you treat your savior? Li Fan asked with a smile. Bastard! What did you do to me? Jean Qimo looked at Li Fan angrily, as if she couldn't wait to bite Li Fan to pieces. What else can I do to you? All I did was feed you the medicine and help you dissolve the medicine. Why, is this also a capital crime? Li Fan asked. Fed me medicine. How did you do it? Of course I fed you with my mouth. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. How else could I feed you? Speaking of which, your mouth has a strong fishy smell, and I forced myself to feed you the medicine. You don't need to thank me. Bastard. Jean Kumo wanted to kill him, but she accidentally affected the wound on her body, causing her to stop in pain and frown deeply. You're injured to this extent, don't move. Li Fan reminded her. Even if I die, I will take you with me. Tsukumo looked at Li Fan as if he was looking at his father's murderer. I don't think it's a good idea. After all, I did save you. Li Fan looked at Jin Hisao. If it wasn't for me, you would be a corpse by now. Could it be that you can insult me just because you saved me? Tsugumi climbed off the sofa with great difficulty and used his willpower to support his body. He opened his arms and clenched them into a ferocious mantis fist. Is that so? Come on then. Li Fan crooked his finger. You're courting death. Suisao sent a mantis fist towards Li Fan. Li Fan didn't move at all, but Jin Hisao's body tilted and fell to the ground. Li Fan stretched out his arms and hugged Jin Kumo. Isn't it more comfortable in my arms? You frivolous fellow. Jin Hisao gritted her teeth and glared at Li Fan. You only have the strength to talk now. Li Fan placed her back on the sofa. Just lie down. When you have time, explain why you appeared in front of my house. That would be even better. If it wasn't for the chief, I wouldn't have come to this lousy place. Jin Hisao said angrily. Luo Shuewu, what happened to her? To think you still remember the chief's name. I thought you'd forgotten about her. How could that be? Aren't I still an honorary member of Yijian? Puffed. You still remember Yijian? Yijian is about to be destroyed by someone. Li Fan's heart shook, and he suddenly understood something. Holy War plan? What kind of enemy? It's Jin Hisao looked at Li Fan. Dozens, hundreds of you. What the fuck? Li Fan was really shocked this time. A few hundred of me? Yes. That's why the chief sent me to look for you. Jin Hisao looked at Li Fan with an unfriendly gaze. Why are there so many of you? I'm afraid it's related to some cloning plan. Li Fan recalled that he had seen a clone of himself at Long Qingyun's place. Who would have thought that this thing would be used wantonly in this holy war plan? Bastard, isn't this tarnishing my reputation as the little tyrant? I understand. I'll follow you back to Snowy Mountain. Jin Hisao was injured to this extent and was sent to look for him. This meant that Yijian was on the verge of death. Let's go. Jin Hisao propped herself up and was about to stand up. Don't force yourself in your current state. Li Fan said, let me carry you back. Then I'd rather die. Jin Hisao looked at the Shang Fong sword that Li Fan placed on the table and grabbed it. I'll use this to walk. Jin Hisao pulled hard and her face turned pale. Her arm almost broke. What broken sword? Why is it so heavy? Even the big sword used by Chen Junhua of Mount Hua wasn't this heavy. You won't be able to carry it. Damn it. But we need to hurry to Snowy Mountain. Otherwise, it's over. Our chief. She can't hold on much longer. Li Fan turned his head and looked at his room. Since there's a chance, I'll use some of my special privileges. What special privileges? You'll know in a while. Li Fan said and sent a message. Stay here and recuperate. We'll reach Snowy Mountain soon. I'll believe you this once. Jin Hisao was exhausted, but she couldn't close her eyes. She was too worried about the sect. When are we leaving? In half an hour. Li Fan placed his phone in his pocket. Don't worry. Luo Xiuwu and I have some history. Moreover, for the sake of the little tyrant's reputation, I won't sit by and watch. You're heavily injured. It's better for you to recuperate. Yijian's brothers are fighting to the death. How can I recuperate here? Thinking of this, Jin Hisao couldn't sit still. She couldn't wait to fly to her comrade's side. It's useless even if you're anxious. If you have the ability, grow a pair of wings and fly back. Li Fan mocked mercilessly. You. Sooner or later, I'll kill you. Jin Hisao gritted her teeth so hard that they were about to break. Fine, fine, fine. Wait until you have the ability. Li Fan took out an Origin Rejuvenating Pill. Eat this Origin Rejuvenating Pill to replenish your strength. We'll talk about the rest later. Just as Li Fan was about to leave, Jin Hisao hurriedly shouted, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to wake up a little ancestor." Li Fan walked into the bedroom. Dragon Lady was sleeping soundly. This lass was practically riding on his quilt, sleeping soundly. Seeing her sleeping posture, Li Fan didn't know what to say. Moreover, because she was sleeping, Dragon Lady was only wearing a doo-doo. Her thighs were exposed. She didn't even cover her embarrassing parts. Li Fan had no choice but to turn his head away. This lass, wasn't she too unprepared? Chapter 1092. After all, the Dragon Lady looked too young. Li Fan held back his desires. With a wave of his hand, he used his true chi to roll up the blanket and cover the Dragon Lady with it. Now is not the time to cover her. Li Fan suddenly remembered that he was here to wake her up. It wouldn't be long before they set off. Originally, Li Fan didn't want to bring the Dragon Girl along for this kind of dispute. But if she wasn't by his side, Li Fan wouldn't be at ease. After all, there was a group of fellows called the Four Sacred Beasts waiting to get rid of her. And this girl didn't know how to do anything other than eat. It was better to wake her up quickly. Only by keeping her by his side could he be at ease. "Dragon Lady, wake up!" Li Fan called out, but the Dragon Lady couldn't hear him at all. She was sleeping soundly. "Dragon Lady?" Li Fan raised his voice a little, but the Dragon Lady was still sleeping soundly. Calling her normally didn't seem to work. She probably couldn't wake up. Li Fan walked forward, reached out, and gently pushed the Dragon Lady's forehead. "Damn, you can't even wake her up." Li Fan was troubled. He sat on the bed and stared at the Dragon Lady's face. This girl was really sleeping soundly. Li Fan imagined the sleeping appearance of a giant dragon in his mind. It felt completely different. He really didn't know what the dragon race was like. But since the Dragon Lady was transformed from a divine dragon, shouldn't her abilities be around the same tier? After all, that was the pinnacle of humans. But her actual strength wasn't that high. Although she was strong, her fighting ability wasn't outstanding. Her overall strength was probably only around the peak of perfection. The Dragon Lady was full of mysteries, and one couldn't help but want to study her. Li Fan wanted to know the structure of the Dragon Lady's body. He couldn't help but stretch out his hand and press it on the blanket. It happened to be the position of the Dragon Lady's lower abdomen. Li Fan's true chi passed through the blanket and into the Dragon Lady's body. He felt the flow of power in the Dragon Lady's body. This energy was indeed not true chi, but a power that seemed to be the source. Everyone had a certain amount of power in their bodies. Not just humans, but animals, even insects. This was the constant energy within the body of living beings, the foundation of their existence and activities. The energy within the human body could be cultivated into many forms. For example, Li Fan and other martial artists could slowly cultivate their strength into true chi. On the other hand, the Western Association of Mages could communicate with elemental spirits and use magic. The energy in Dragon Lady's body was indeed different from other energies. Li Fan seemed to be able to sense a five-clawed golden dragon soaring into the sky. The dragon had been the symbol of China since ancient times. As for the Fist of Seven Heroes, it had indeed reached a bottleneck. If he could imitate the power of a real dragon, he might be able to achieve a breakthrough. When he transformed into a divine dragon general, many of the moves he used were imitations of the legendary divine dragons. For example, Dragon Spitting Pearl, Dragon King Seal, Twin Dragon Scissors, and Rising Dragon Strike. However, Li Fan always felt that it was just a form, unlike the Seven Gallant Fist, which had imitated the seven animals to the extreme. Li Fan had to improve if he wanted his martial arts to compete with divine arts. Li Fan felt the power in Dragon Lady's body. He felt that this power was different, as well as the feeling of looking down on everything. Li Fan vaguely had a wonderful feeling that as long as he grasped this opportunity, he would be able to make a great leap and make another big step forward. Li Fan's heart suddenly skipped a beat. This was an impulse, an impulse to combine with this woman. Only by combining with this woman could he obtain supreme power. Li Fan's eyes turned red, and he felt a little strange. Mr. Yang should have been completely crushed by his mental strength. He should not have been affected. Then what was it that affected him that made Li Fan have such a strong desire to reproduce? Dragon Lady was like a magnet, deeply attracting him. Li Fan could not help but approach her. The lowly's youthful body was right in front of him, as though it was within his reach. However, at this moment, a cold voice entered his ears. "Sure enough, you're a sex maniac. You won't even let a little girl go." Looking at Tatsumi Hisashi, who was leaning against the door with his arms crossed, Li Fan's head was drenched in cold sweat, and he completely sobered up. "Ahem, you misunderstood. I just want to wake her up." Li Fan said that this was his original goal, although there were some changes in the middle. "Oomph, do you think I'll believe your nonsense?" Tatsumi snorted. "Your personal evil fetish has nothing to do with me, and you don't need to explain it to me. Let me ask you, when are we leaving?" "We can leave after waking her up. Why bring her along? No matter what, you can't forget a warm and fragrant jade? What nonsense are you talking about? I am this person's guardian. Protecting her is my mission." Li Fan immediately said, "So, I can't let anything happen to her, so I can only bring her along. Will I believe you?" Tatsumi did not believe Li Fan's nonsense at all. "Then why aren't you waking her up? If you can, why don't you wake her up?" Li Fan spread his hands. Once Dragon Lady fell asleep, she would naturally wake up. After returning, there was once that she slept for 3 days and 3 nights before waking up. How long can she sleep? Tatsumi curled his lips. Can she even sleep until dinner? Dinner? Dragon Lady suddenly sat up, and the blanket on her fell off, exposing her upper body. Li Fan immediately waved his hand, and the blanket wrapped around her body, covering her girly area. "Can you be more careful? Don't expose it so casually." Li Fan was very helpless. "Also, if you don't eat, you won't get up. I'm hungry. Besides, we dragons don't need to wear clothes. Have you seen any dragon flying in the sky wearing clothes? They still have scales. Besides, I've never seen a dragon before." Li Fan was very helpless. "Hee, don't you see it now? Tell me, what do you want to eat now? Is my instant noodles ready? Let's talk later. We have to go to the Great Snow Mountain." "Snow Mountain? Why are we going there?" Dragon Lady did not understand. She sat on the bed, picked up a bag of chips from the side, and asked while eating, "Dragon?" Tatsumi could not understand their conversation, but she was more worried about her compatriots on the Great Snow Mountain. "I don't want to go to the Great Snow Mountain. It's too cold. We dragons don't like it there. The last time I went there, I remember there were specialties on the mountain." Li Fan recalled. "The roasted pheasant there seems to be delicious." "Ah, it's okay to wear warm clothes and stroll around the Great Snow Mountain occasionally," Dragon Lady said, while drooling. That's right." Li Fan stretched out his hand and pressed her head twice. "Then when are we leaving?" Tatsumi was very anxious. Li Fan took a chip, placed it in the air, and winked at Tatsumi. Now, a roar sounded outside the window. Chapter 1093. A helicopter flew to the peak of the Great Sword Mountain. The helicopter stopped a few dozen meters away from the ground. "Majorly, this is as far as we can go." A soldier saluted Li Fan. "You'll have to rely on yourself for the rest of the journey." "Got it." Li Fan wore a dark green military uniform for the first time today. He stood at the cabin door and looked back. Other than Jin Kyumo and Dragon Lady, the 2 girls, Jiang Yuan and Jiang Fangfang, also followed. Today, there was a cosplay exhibition organized by the animation group. The 2 of them cosplayed as Rem and Ramu and performed nearby. When they saw a military helicopter flying over, they couldn't help but come over to join in the fun and saw Li Fan. Jiang Yuan kept insisting to follow, so Li Fan could only let her. One more martial artist meant one more helping hand. Moreover, Li Fan also wanted to take this opportunity to train the 2 sisters. "So this is the legendary Great Sword Mountain." Jiang Yuan looked out of the window, very excited. She didn't look like she was here to help, but more like she was here to sightsee. "Sister, Wake up, we're here. Mm. Jiang Fongfong seemed to be still sleepy and was forcefully woken up by her sister. She looked down, and then her eyes flashed. I didn't expect this snow mountain to be so beautiful. Oomph, the beauty of our great snow mountain goes without saying. Jean Kumo stood beside Li Fan and coldly snorted. I didn't ask you to come here for sightseeing. Don't worry, we're here to help. Jiang Yuanyuan was still smiling. Sightseeing? What naive girl. Jean Kumo sneered. We don't even know what war is. With that, she took the lead and jumped down from the helicopter. Fuck, this woman is still injured. She's going down. Li Fan couldn't help but curse. She's really crazy. Major Li, please protect the Dragon Lady. The officer gave Li Fan a meaningful look. Tell your general not to worry. As Li Fan spoke, he grabbed Dragon Lady's collar with one hand. I'm going down. Before Dragon Girl could react, Li Fan had already grabbed her by the collar and descended from the sky onto the snowy mountain. Jiang Yuanyuan and Jiang Fongfong also landed behind them. The two girls did not even take off their cosplay clothes. Although they were wearing thin clothes, they had vital energy to protect their bodies, so they could still survive on the snowy mountain. Wow, so cold. Even so, Jiang Yuanyuan couldn't help but shiver. I told you to wear more. As Jiang Fongfong spoke, she took out a scarf from her bag and wrapped it around her body. Hey, big sister, when did you create Weibo? Oh, a boy from the club gave it to me. I haven't had the time to throw it away yet. Jiang Fongfong smiled. Just in time to use it. Look, I'm your good sister. Aren't you going to give in to your beloved sister? Your skin is thick, so you can resist the cold better than me. Jiang Fongfong's words always choke people to death. Jiang Yuanyuan was furious. All right, both of you, stop messing around. Standing on a snowy mountain, Li Fan looked at the white surroundings. Someone is already here to welcome us. Jean Kumo also held his mantis fist and maintained his vigilance. Fongfong, Yuanyuan, you two protect Jean Kumo. Leave this to me. President, leave the protection to Yuanyuan. Jiang Fongfong smiled again. She pulled out the bagua saber from behind her and held it in her hand. Her feet slightly stepped on the bagua steps, giving off an ethereal feeling. Jiang Yuanyuan shrugged her shoulders and took out two blue fans. She held them in her hands, with one foot on the ground and the other raised up. She stood there like a golden rooster standing on one leg. Two little girls who have never been to the battlefield. Jean Kumo looked down on them. What use could they be if they were delicate flowers cultivated in a greenhouse? And that foodie, she could still eat chips in this situation. She was really drunk. Before she could think further, many figures appeared in the surroundings. One after another, youths walked over. Each of them was wearing a black special combat suit and had a fierce look on their faces. Aya, so many presidents, Jiang Yuanyuan exclaimed. One is scary enough. Why are there so many? Nonsense, how am I scary? Li Fan emphasized. That's right, President isn't scary. He's wretched. Jiang Fongfong added. You better go and gank the surroundings first. On this cold, snowy mountain, Li Fan couldn't help but wipe off his cold sweat. Jiang Fongfong. This is the pugilistic world. Can you guys kill people? Hee, you don't understand. Jiang Yuanyuan suddenly laughed. Do you know why I learned the bagua fan and sister learned the bagua saber? Why? Because I like to leave some leeway, but sister is merciless. As the sound of her voice faded, Jiang Fongfong had already charged into the crowd with the bagua saber in her hand. These warriors created from Li Fan's genes all possessed extraordinary strength. Moreover, they could use Li Fan's Seven Heroes fist. In this wave, they mainly used the tiger strike technique and pounced toward Jiang Fongfong like ferocious tigers hunting for food. In an instant, at least 10 clones pounced toward Jiang Fongfong. However, Jiang Fongfong's lips curled up into a smile. She held the bagua saber, lowered her body, and directly charged toward one of the clones. Jiang Fongfong quickly raised her saber and directly slashed the clone's chest, causing blood and intestines to flow out. As for the other clones, they were emotionless and stretched out their tiger claws to grab Jiang Fongfong. However, Jiang Fongfong quickly turned around and slashed with the Bagua saber, chopping off the hands of two clones. Next, with a swift slash, two heads were left on her saber. "You guys are too slow," Jiang Fongfong said. "Substitute." A voice suddenly rang, seemingly commanding these clones. Following that, the clones surrounding Jiang Fongfong suddenly started to retreat. Following that, another wave of clones approached. Their figures left afterimages behind as they rapidly closed in on Jiang Fongfong. So fast, even Jiang Yuanyuan couldn't help but exclaim, "This is the agile monkey steps," Li Fan explained. "Among all the martial arts that I practice, it is the one that focuses on speed the most. Seems like Jiang Fongfong will be in a tough battle." That might not be the case. Sister Saber technique has just begun. Jiang Yuanyuan was filled with confidence. At this moment, a clone leaped out from the snowy ground. He had actually been hiding for a long time and suddenly launched an attack. The moment he appeared, Jiang Yuanyuan's fan had already slapped his head. This clone was ruthlessly slapped into the snowy ground and fainted. Chapter 1094. Li Fan raises his leg and kicks the clone's head away. Looking at his own head flying in the air, Li Fan can't help but sigh. Probably only I can see such a scene. President is so lucky. Not everyone can see their own head flying in the air. Jiang Yuanyuan can't help but laugh. "Do you want to take a look?" "I don't want to." The little girl curls her lips. At the same time, she waved her fan again and sent another clone who tried to sneak up on her flying. On the other side, Jiang Fongfong's figure seems to have split into several, causing those ape-strike clones to be thrown into confusion. At the same time, the real Jiang Fongfong carries the 8-trigram saber and quickly passes by them, killing a clone with every slash. Big Sister is very fast. Jiang Yuanyuan waves her fan, causing a gust of wind to blow away and ambush her. "Don't look down on her." Jin Isao is somewhat dumbstruck. Where did Li Fan find these two strong girls? Li Fan, on the other hand, was quite gratified. Under his guidance, these two girls had made great progress. This is a good thing. It shows that his teaching method is correct. Dragon Girl sits there peacefully, eating chips while watching the show. "Li Fan, there are so many of you here." Dragon Girl ridicules while eating. "They are all so weak. They are just imitations. Of course they are weak." Li Fan curls his lips. "How can they be compared to me, the real one? I think they are about the same." "Then the difference is too big." Li Fan chuckled. Then he raised his hand and sent a palm strike at the clones surrounding him from afar. A powerful palm wind flies out, directly crushing the bodies of those clones. With just the power of a palm, Li Fan instantly killed over a dozen clones. The snowy ground in front of him is also cleared out, making it look very conspicuous. Li Fan stands there with both hands in his pocket and slowly asks, "Sir, it is time for you to come out and meet me, right?" As expected of the little overlord, his strength is extraordinary. A man walked out from behind the clone and slowly approached Li Fan. "However, if I were you, I wouldn't get involved in this mess. Besides, you're like a clay bodhisattva crossing the river. You can't even protect yourself." Although this person was wearing a black veil that covered his face, Li Fan still recognized him at a glance. "Yo, isn't this my good second brother? What a coincidence. You're also working for the government now." Jiang Feng slowly took off his mask. "How did you recognize me? How should I put this? Even if you turn into ashes, I will still recognize you." Li Fan laughed. "But it's the first time we've met each other so calmly." "Jiang Feng, when did you become the government's dog? Aren't you scolding yourself with your words?" Jiang Feng sneered. "That's true. We're all jackals of the same tribe. I won't mock you then." Li Fan nodded, "But I don't seem to be working for this group of people. My task is to protect this place. What about you? Are you asking the obvious?" Jiang Feng's face turned gloomy. "Li Fan, even if you want to fool people, you need to know your limits." "Are you kidding me? Look at these faces. Who is the one fooling who?" Li Fan pointed at the surrounding clones. "We're all allies of the underworld. Can you explain?" "Sure." Jiang Feng nodded. You should know about the Holy War, right? This is the action of the government. It's best if you don't block the front, or you'll be crushed. Don't speak so early. I insist on blocking the front. What can you do to me? Leaf Fan, have you ever thought about how beautiful this world would be if there's no underworld? Jiang Feng wasn't in a hurry to attack. Instead, he tried to persuade Leaf Fan. It's because some people have unique powers that they're unscrupulous. Whoever they want to kill, they kill. Don't you think this kind of underworld should end? If you and I aren't people of the underworld, I think we'll be good friends. That's quite beautiful, Leaf Fan sneered. But what you're doing is different from the kind of people you're talking about. If it can end all of this, I'm willing to do evil. You can hate me. It's fine. You wish. You're the good guy and the bad guy. Leaf Fan said bluntly. You're just an idealist. Especially in this snowy mountain, I have a lot of friends. I can't let you guys do whatever you want. It seems like we're destined to be enemies. Jiang Feng wrapped his face cloth again. Holy War troops, attack Leaf Fan. Ignore everything. Abandon life and death. These clones were originally like ruthless warriors. Upon hearing the order, they immediately rushed towards Leaf Fan regardless of anything else. There were hundreds of Leaf Fan. It was a bit scary when they all rushed toward him. Everyone, don't be polite. Take more heads. Leaf Fan encouraged the people around him. Sigh, facing the president, I still can't bear to kill him. Jiang Feng sighed, which caused Leaf Fan to roll his eyes. What do you mean by you can't bear to kill him? Just now, when you were cutting him, I'll take care of the rest. All right, you guys protect the two of them. Leave the rest to me. After all, this is my bad karma. I'll handle it myself. Leaf Fan took a step forward and walked toward the clones. Leaf Fan's current aura was shocking. If it was a normal person, they would definitely be scared to the ground and lose the will to fight. But these clones were different. They didn't have any feelings. They only wanted to complete the task that Jiang Feng gave them. Just like what Jiang Feng said, ignore everything and abandon life and death. In the blink of an eye, these clones had already arrived in front of Leaf Fan. Leaf Fan punched them one by one, bursting their heads. This clone face caused Leaf Fan to feel annoyed. Too weak, Leaf Fan casually killed these clones. At the same time, he didn't forget to ridicule them. What's the use of developing such trash? An army naturally has cannon fodder. Jiang Feng raised his head and took a look. There are also elites. Leaf Fan also raised his head subconsciously. At this moment, a man suddenly landed on top of him. His feet were covered in flames as he kicked at Leaf Fan. Leaf Fan raised his fist and exchanged a blow with him. Bang! Flames and strength accompanied each other. The powerful impact pushed Leaf Fan a few steps back. The figure of the man in front of him also flipped a circle before landing on the ground. The flames on his feet slowly disappeared. Another Leaf Fan, another clone. The one who caused great damage to our sword reliance is this guy. What's with the flames on his feet? Jin Hisao frowned. Leaf Fan, is this your secret technique? Chapter 1095. How could I have such a secret technique? How come I don't know about it? Leaf Fan rolled his eyes. These people have already researched it to perfection. That's right, this is the combination of your genes and some mutant genes. Jiang Feng's voice was somewhat proud. Have you seen it? This is the power of technology. Under the control of this power, the underworld will no longer exist, and a brand new, controllable power will be controlled by the right person. Who is the right person? You? I won't deny it. I am indeed very suitable. Jiang Feng nodded. Because I want to build a brand new society, eradicate those with superhuman strength. This way, the human world will be equal. Only then will there be happiness. That's really crazy. Leaf Fan asked, so even Morone Bo, you also want to get rid of him? Master has raised me. I will never betray him. He's not weak. Isn't that the opposite of what you're thinking? Master is also the most loyal soldier of the government. Jiang Feng cunningly replied, moreover, what I said is only my ideal. This ideal does not conflict with the Holy War plan. Second brother Jiang, your words are still the same, watertight. Leaf Fan chuckled. Only you know what you're thinking in your heart. I only want to benefit this country. Zhang Feng did not hesitate. Eliminate all the unstable factors. Create a truly controllable armed force. This is the holy war plan. Ridiculous, Li Fan snorted. To give your own massacre such a beautiful title. You are really thick-skinned. I have said, I don't need you to understand my justice. Zhang Feng's eyes were filled with determination. Number 1, kill him. Under his command, Li Fan, who has the flame ability, moved again. His whole body was covered in flames. In a flash, he arrived in front of Li Fan, followed by a heavy flame kick, a kick toward Li Fan. Li Fan used crane hand to block. Bam! He was kicked and flew out, slid back more than 3 meters, and was pushed by Jiang Yuanyuan and Jiang Fangfang behind him. Aya, this guy has such great strength. Even the dragon girl said, he almost caught up with me. I hope he can't eat as much as you. Li Fan shook his numb hands and, at the same time, got rid of the flame. Combining his gene with a mutant gene, the combination of true chi and superpower? If that's the case, I should also show my hand. Just as Li Fan was about to make a move, Jiang Feng smiled and made number 1 retreat to his side. We are all sworn brothers. You are ruthless, but it doesn't mean I am. Jiang Feng said, plus, you are also a member of the government. I don't want to be too heartless. I will give you face and also give you a chance, little tyrant. He stretched out a finger. I see that your relationship with Luo Xiuwu of Yijian is pretty good. How about this? I'll give you 1 day to surrender with Luo Xiuwu. This way, I can guarantee your safety. I will just abolish your martial arts. I will cut off your tendons. Although the second half of your life will be miserable, it is better than death, right? Jiang Feng originally thought that he would have to wait for Takeda Gang from Japan to get rid of Li Fan. But he did not expect that Li Fan would take the initiative to deliver himself. Then he would take this opportunity to eliminate him. Number 1 strength is very strong. So strong that even Jiang Feng is a little jealous. But after the jealousy, he is secretly happy. After all, no matter how strong he is a weapon without thoughts and will listen to his command. All right, see you in a day. Li Fan is not in a hurry to fight with him. He wants to see Luo Xiuwu's situation first. Number 1 is very strong. Li Fan does not want to use Gui's sword to kill him. This Gui sword is a killer move. Its original name is Sa Shou. Legend has it that it was created by Qin Xiong. It can be called his killer move. In the competition, he will suddenly throw out the big mace in his hand and hit the opponent. Ordinary people will not be able to react in time and will have their heads smashed by the heavy big mace. But if this move is broken, Qin Xiong will be the unlucky one. Without a weapon, his fighting strength will be greatly reduced. This is the origin of the killer move. It is also meaningful. When he was fighting with Azure Dragon threw out his killer move in advance, but it was broken by him. After that, Azure Dragon fled in a sorry state. Li Fan is the same. He will not use his killer move unless he has no other choice. This superpower number 1 is not simple. Li Fan decided to think about it. Sharpening the knife will not delay the work of cutting firewood. Think about it carefully. See if you want to live or die tomorrow. With that, Jiang Feng retreated with the clones. Why didn't you kill him just now? Are you afraid? Jin Hisao could not help but ask. What's the rush? That person is very cunning. Even if I get rid of number 1, he might still have a second or third one. Li Fan is calm. At this time, why don't we take a look at how your alliance leader is doing? Jin Hisao also knows that what Li Fan said makes sense. Without saying anything else, she turned around and walked into the depths of the snowy mountain. The headquarters of the Smiling Sword Breeze is located in a valley in the snowy mountain. The valley was surrounded by snow-capped cliffs. Even martial artists would not be able to get close to it. The only way to enter and exit is through a narrow gap. But it is not foolproof. At that time, Li Fan followed Lu Zhu and took a detour to escape. Usually, there are 2 disciples guarding the valley entrance. But today is a little different. There's not a single sword guard at the valley entrance. There's only a group of clones blocking the entrance. It seems like no one is allowed to pass. But when Li Fan walks over, these people automatically make way for Li Fan and his group. Look, although this Jiang Feng is not much, at least he keeps his words. That guy is not a good person. Dragon Lady is walking beside Li Fan with a big box of chips in her hand. I don't like his aura. Trust me, I don't like it either. Li Fan said without hesitation, but he is not a simple person. It is better to be careful. So timid. Are you really the little tyrant? Jean Hisao sneered. Who knows? Li Fan shrugged. How would I know who you came all the way here to seek help from? Jean Hisao heavily snorted again, but she did not continue to ridicule Jiang Feng. The surrounding clones are like statues, standing there motionlessly, allowing Li Fan and his group to pass. Although Jean Hisao is very vigilant, these people do not have the slightest intention to attack. We're the sword guards. After entering the city, Li Fan could not help but ask when he saw that there is not a single person. Chapter 1096. You're about to see it. Jean Kumo pointed at the Hall of Valor. Hall of Valor. Li Fan remembered the last time he was here. At that time, he even exchanged a few moves with Zhang Xiaotian. He wondered how strong Zhang Xiaotian's martial arts had become. He wanted to exchange a few moves with Zhang Xiaotian. But now wasn't the time. Li Fan followed Jean Kumo into the Hall of Valor. The interior of the Hall of Valor was dilapidated. It seemed to have suffered a lot. Many disciples of E-Sword were lying here with injuries all over their bodies. Several disciples in charge of medical treatment were running around to treat these disciples. Luo Shu sat in the middle, holding a sword in her hand. Her face was gloomy, and she seemed to have suffered some internal injuries. Guo Mingming was beside her. He was usually a blockhead, but today his head was bandaged with dark red blood seeping out of it. Clearly, he was also seriously injured. Zhang Xiaotian sat in the corner. He had lost an arm. Knight Rain sat in a wheelchair, looking at a map as if he was deducing something. Luo Xiuwu's 4 heavenly kings seemed to have suffered heavy injuries this time. Kumo, you're back safely. Seeing Jean Kumo, Knight Rain's face lit up with joy. Then, his gaze fell on Li Fan. Li Fan, long time no see. Forgive me for my injuries, and I can't be polite. Knight Rain cupped his hands at Li Fan. The others also looked at Li Fan and the rest. Look, the Guardian King is back. Great, we're saved. Li Fan checked Knight Rain's injuries and found that they weren't permanent. He probably needed some time to recuperate, and he could stand up again. Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief. What happened to the Guardian King? Oh, I forgot to inform you. You're now the Guardian King of E-Sword. When Knight Rain Tower saw Li Fan, he finally smiled. When did this happen? Cough, cough. Luo Shu sat at the side. Although she saw Li Fan, she had been putting up a front because there were disciples around. When he heard Knight Rain Tower's words, he immediately coughed twice. Knight Rain Tower didn't say anything, but he secretly transmitted his voice to Li Fan. The last time I drank with everyone, after drinking too much, they asked you what your current identity should be. The Alliance Master drank too much and casually said that you're our Sword Protector King. Li Fan broke out in a cold sweat. How could this work? Looking at the person who wanted to be his wife, Li Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why did you only bring so few people? Luo Shu couldn't help scolding Li Fan. You have so many experts in your escort agency, but you only brought a few women with you. How can you do that? Although Luo Shu was in love with Li Fan, she would not show it at this moment. Right now, Luo Shu was the Alliance Master of Leaning Sword. I went through so much trouble to send Tsutomu Hisashi out to look for you. But it's not so that you can bring a girl here for sightseeing. Don't underestimate these people. They are very powerful. Li Fan introduced them. These two are the successors of the 8 Trigram School. They are very powerful. Oh, so they're the disciples of the 8 Trigram School. I apologize for my lack of manners. Luo Shu cupped her hands at Jiang Yuan and Yi Qingtang. But as you can see, Leaning Sword is in danger and we lack manpower. I, Luo Shu, appreciate your help. But the enemy is too powerful, so please return. These two are my helpers. How can you chase them away the moment you arrive? Li Fan felt very helpless. I'm doing this for their own good. They are still young, so they don't have to sacrifice their lives for Leaning Sword. With me here, nothing will happen to Leaning Sword. You're so confident. Why else would you call me here? I'm interested in your powerful subordinates. Luo Shiwu was very familiar with them. Guan Wenbao, Yin Kai, Puti, the Yinjing 11 cavalrymen. They are indeed very powerful, but I came in such a hurry that I didn't have the time to inform them. Li Fan explained. And I did bring 2 powerful helpers. Trust us, we are not here to die. All right, but Leaning Sword's current situation. You've seen it for yourself. Night Rain Tower, explain. Luo Shiwu did not seem to have any strength left. Yes, let me explain. Night Rain Tower nodded. Leaning Sword has been defending against attacks for half a month and suffered heavy casualties. At least half of our disciples have died, and the rest are all injured. Right now, there are only 10 experts left who can accompany you to fight. Little Tian, how are your injuries? Li Fan was concerned about Zhang Xiaotian, who was sitting in the corner. Don't worry, I won't die yet. Zhang Xiaotian stood up. Even if I only have one arm left, I can still crush a few Li Fan. No, I mean clones. Under Night Rain Tower's analysis, Leaning Sword and the others who stayed behind also roughly understood the situation. Little Tian, I will help you contact a good doctor and install a bionic arm for you. No need, Zhang Xiaotian said directly. So what if he only has one hand? Didn't Yanghua only have one hand as well? He also mastered the overwhelming sadness palm. I, Zhang Xiaotian, will also rely on one arm to conquer the world. This guy's fighting spirit was quite high. Li Fan did not try to persuade him. Instead, he explained what he knew about the situation. On the way here, I fought with those clones. Ordinary clones are just cannon fodder. Their human wave tactic might be useful against ordinary martial artists. But for us top martial artists, it's not worth mentioning. It's not that easy, Night Rain Tower smiled bitterly. I'm tired of dealing with 3 of them at once. Don't forget, your 7 Heroes Fist is ranked in the top 10 of the Divine Art Manual. But it shouldn't be difficult for you, right? That's true. That's why we blocked them for half a month. But their numbers are endless, and there's even a clone with flames. This guy is too strong. Even us 4 Heavenly Kings can't beat him. In the end, it was Zhang Xiaotian who sacrificed an arm to protect us. Right now, we are hiding in the Hall of Heroes, relying on the defense of this building to resist their attacks again and again. But I don't know how long we can last. Tomorrow will be the last time. Li Fan stretched his muscles and bones. Since they provoked me, the little overlord, I will not let them off easily. I will let the entire underworld know that whoever dares to use my name, the little overlord, will pay the price. Not bad. Zhang Xiaotian walked to Li Fan's side. Count me in tomorrow's defensive battle. I can barely help you guys. Night Rain Tower pushed the wheelchair. In addition, I will choose 8 experts. Everything will depend on tomorrow. Good. Since you guys trust me, I promise to protect you guys. Li Fan said loudly. This time, leave it to me. Chapter 1097. Li Fan. Before Li Fan went to the battlefield, Luo Shu suddenly stopped him. What's wrong? Li Fan looked back at the beautiful snow beauty. Don't worry, in the past 2 years, I don't know how many big and small battles I have dealt with. This is not a big scene for me. I really don't know whether you are confident or boasting. Such a pure and clean woman, standing in front of him. Even if Li Fan had a heart of stone, he would inevitably be moved. Hearing Luo Shiwu's scolding, Li Fan's old face slightly blushed. Well, the war is about to start. Did you come here to scold me? No. Luo Shiwu wanted to say something, but she hesitated for a long time. If there's nothing else, I will set off. I can't let my good second brother wait. As Li Fan said, he turned around and walked out of the door. Hey, Luo Shiwu grabbed Li Fan's sleeve. Wait. Well, what's the matter? Is there anything else you want to say? Li Fan asked half-jokingly. Li Fan, do you remember what we said last time? Luo Shiwu suddenly asked. Well, Li Fan really couldn't remember clearly. What did they say? You are such a jerk. Finding that Li Fan really forgot it, Luo Shuwu seemed a little angry. Then I will say it again. If we can come back alive this time, let's get married. Luo Shuwu once again proposed to Li Fan, which made Li Fan a little dumbfounded. Fuck, at this time, she suddenly said this kind of words. Li Fan naturally knew what Luo Shuwu was thinking, but at this time, he couldn't answer Luo Shuwu. We may never see each other again, but you don't want to answer me? Luo Shuwu seemed a little sad. Do you think that I just want to marry you for the good of the alliance? Well, a little. Don't worry. Even if I die, I'm willing to be a ghost couple with you. Luo Shuwu said firmly. Li Fan didn't know whether he should be touched or not. Sometimes, this woman was silly and cute. How can you say such depressing words before going into battle? Li Fan reminded her. I will return in triumph. Don't worry. After that, Li Fan did not wait for Luo Shuwu to answer, but turned around and walked out of the room. By the time she reacted, it would be too late. He came to Yijian to fight, not to talk about love. Li Fan turned around and left the Hall of Valor. Jiang Yuan and Jiang Fangfang had been waiting outside for a long time. The dragoness was still sitting at the side, gnawing on a roasted chicken. Yijian no longer had anyone to help her catch pheasants. These were the few that Li Fan had caught overnight. No matter what, he had to satisfy this little lass's appetite first. There were still 10 experts from Yijian standing outside. Zhan Xiaodian and Knight Rain Tower stood on the left and right. Although they were injured, their eyes were filled with determination, as though they had disregarded life and death. Jin Hisao had also recovered a little. She stood beside Knight Rain Tower and looked at the layers of clones that surrounded the tower. There were also 7 experts from Yijian waiting for orders. Luo Shu held onto her sword and slowly walked out from the second floor of the Hall of Valor and stood on the balcony. Guan Mingming, with his head covered in bandages, stood by Luo Shuwu's side. This loyal guard would never leave her side. Li Fan, have you chosen? Jiang Feng stood in front of him. A few clones were carrying a sedan chair for him to sit on. It was truly a pleasure. Li Fan was a little unhappy. Damn it. Why does it look like I am the one carrying him? I have chosen. Li Fan hooked his finger at Jiang Feng. With me, little tyrant here, who can harm Yijian? All right. Jiang Feng lowered his voice. I knew you would choose this way. Clones, listen to my orders. Attack this place and kill everyone. Over 100 clones slowly walked over. No matter how many of them come, they're just sending themselves to death. Li Fan was rather disdainful. Just let them come. Is that so? Jiang Feng snapped his fingers. Each of the clones was carrying a metal box on their back. With a snap of Jiang Feng's fingers, the metal boxes immediately moved, releasing sets of battle armor from within and covering the clones' bodies. Very quickly, these clones were all wearing steel battle armors. They looked very mighty. Surprised, right? Jiang Feng seemed to be a little proud. These ordinary clones are unable to fuse with mutant genes, but they can be strengthened with battle armors. After wearing this set of armor, their battle prowess has doubled. I have to say, you guys really know how to cause trouble. Li Fan ridiculed. However, no matter how much trouble you guys cause, it is still an unorthodox method. I will use my martial arts to defeat you. That's all. As expected of the little tyrant. Today, I will let you understand how great the power of belief is. Saying so, he pointed at Li Fan. Go. Number 1. You lead the battle. Just as he finished his words, a flame immediately fell from the sky. Li Fan raised his head. His right hand condensed a ball of energy and threw it towards the sky. Dragon spitting ball. This ball of energy hit the flame and caused a huge explosion in the sky. Rumble. A man penetrated the flame and descended. His leg was like a sharp axe, carrying flames as it descended from the sky, chopping towards Li Fan's head. Li Fan stretched out his hands and blocked this kick. Bang! His knees slightly sank, and he almost knelt on the ground. This Berserk clone number 1 was really scary. Do you need help, Mr. President? Jiang Yuan winked at Li Fan. No need. Li Fan's lips curled up. Just listen to Night Rain Tower's command. As for this guy, leave him to me. President, you really like to show off. Men are all like that. The two sisters started to ridicule again, but Li Fan laughed out loud. Whether I'm showing off or not, you will know soon enough. Li Fan said and pushed his hands upwards, sending clone number 1 flying. He then leaped towards clone number 1 in the sky. Both of them exchanged a few blows in the sky. Chi and flames continuously exploded in the sky. Guys, I will leave it to you. Night Rain Tower sat in a wheelchair, but he had the demeanor of Zhuge Liang. He commanded the few remaining combat forces to launch a counterattack against the clones. The clones surged forward like a tide. After wearing the metal armor, they were even more powerful. Everyone, who can help me open up a path first? Night Rain Tower squinted his eyes. I need a warrior to help me kill my way in. I'll go. I'll do it. Jin Isao and Zhang Xiaotian said at the same time. Both of you are injured. Leave this to me. Zhang Fangfang picked up his Baiwa blade. Night Rain Tower, how do you want to play? Chapter 1098. Let's fight our way out. Night Rain Tower pointed at Jiang Feng. As the saying goes, kill the leader first. Kill that guy and we will win. This was the best way to deal with a large number of enemies. Leave it to me. The moment Jiang Fangfang finished her sentence, she already charged forward. In the blink of an eye, she appeared in front of one of the clones and slashed at it. Clang! However, the clone raised its arm and used its armored arm to block Jiang Fangfang's slash. Such a sturdy defense. Seeing this scene, Night Rain Tower could not help but take a deep breath. Looks like the battle prowess of these clones has exceeded our expectations. So he still had a trump card. Jin Isao was furious. Damn that guy. How much does he look down on E-Sword? This guy's strength is indeed enough to topple the world. Night Rain Tower's expression was ugly. He scratched his chin and pondered for a moment. Miss Jiang, please attack the joints of the armors. Night Rain Tower's eyesight was amazing, and he quickly analyzed the battle strategy. Okay, Jiang Fangfang's body turned and dodged the attacks of two clones. At the same time, she slashed at the shoulder of one of the clones. The joints were indeed weak, and one of the clones' arms flew into the air. So that's how it is. Jiang Fangfang smiled. Now it's her turn to be unlucky. After Jiang Fangfang found the weakness, she was like a wolf in a flock of sheep, rushing into the battlefield of the clones. However, the joints of the clones were still relatively small, and it was not easy for Jiang Fangfang to kill them. She rushed forward with all her might, but Night Rain Tower waved his hand. Now is the time. Everyone, please lend me a hand and rush in through the gap that Miss Jiang has created. The opponent was a huge giant, and Night Rain Tower only had a dagger in his hand. Therefore, what Night Rain Tower needed to do was to stab the dagger into the heart of the opponent. E-Sword's main force had been eliminated, and normal tactics were no longer useful. Take the unexpected path and take the enemy's head. This was Night Rain Tower's only belief. Zhang Xiaotian and Jin Isao brought the remaining experts of E-Sword and directly followed Jiang Fangfang. The 10 of them were like sharp blades that pierced through the clone army. Not a bad strategy. Jiang Feng sat on the stage and praised, as expected of Yi Jin's battle commander. He has been able to resist us for half a month. Even Wudong and Shaolin don't have such fighting strength. Thank you for your compliment. Night Rain's eyes flashed. Miss Jiang, give up the target and attack the clone on the left. Jiang Fangfang did not know why Night Rain Tower gave such an order, but she immediately followed it. She raised her sword and pounced at the clone. Protect him. Jiang Feng was shocked. He waved his hand and ordered the clones to protect the one beside him. How did you know he was the commander? Jiang Feng asked. I just guessed it. Night Rain smiled. After all, you've always had such a clone by your side since the first battle. He has never moved, but there must be a reason for his existence. Very smart. But do you think I'll let you get what you want so easily? Jiang Feng ordered even more people to protect the clone, but Jiang Fangfang had already led a group of Yi experts to kill their way in. In order to get rid of the clone, they fought with a group of clones. But because they lost the ability to move, Yi disciples started to be injured. Zhang Xiaodian was also gasping for breath. Because he only had one arm, he was unable to dodge the attacks in time and suffered many injuries. Got it. With the help of Yi disciples, Jiang Fangfang finally arrived in front of the clone and directly slashed with her sword. She chopped off the clone's thigh, and when he fell, she kicked his head, sending him tumbling to the ground. Following that, she followed up with the 8-trigram blade, ruthlessly stabbing into the gap of his neck and chopping off his head. All of the Yi disciples heaved a sigh of relief. They finally succeeded. Well done. Zhang Feng gave a thumbs up, then took out a microphone and held in his hand, but I still have a backup control system. Night Rain Tower's gaze froze. He hated himself for taking things for granted. Zhang Feng was simply a nightmare. He first created a desperate situation for himself, then deliberately used a few days to set up a bright trap for himself. Night Rain Tower thought that he had found the true light of hope, but in the end, he personally sent the last of Yi Jian's strength into a second desperate situation. I will accept the lives of these people. After Zhang Feng finished speaking, more people surrounded the few Yi Jian disciples. Jiang Fangfang held the 8-trigram blade and stuck close to Jin Jiuma and the others. Right now, they were surrounded by enemies, and there was nowhere to escape. Looks like this is the end. Zhang Xiaoyan's forehead was covered in sweat. He was panting as if he had used up all his strength. Forget it. I will die on the battlefield. Good, good. Zhang Xiaodian roared 3 times. He was prepared to give up his life here. Night Rain Tower's face was covered in cold sweat, and he was still thinking of a countermeasure. Quickly think. You will definitely be able to think of something. The smile on Zhang Feng's face became even wider. At this moment, a figure suddenly descended from the sky. She was wearing a golden armor, and she landed in the middle of the crowd, creating a pit in the ground. At the same time, a powerful shockwave was set off. A massive shockwave blasted out, sending the clones that were surrounding him flying. Murong Ying, Luo, Xiuwu stood on the balcony, biting the corner of her mouth. She could not help but be shocked when she saw this scene. No, this was not Murong Ying. She never dressed like this. This golden flying lion armor was a far cry from her Chongsan preference. Damn Li Fan. Jiang Feng was familiar with this move. Flying Lion Goddess. This was the superpower that Li Fan borrowed from by Lin Luo. The Flying Lion Goddess did not take the initiative to attack. She held the golden lion shield and kept knocking away the clones that were charging at her. My life was saved. Night Rain Tower heaved a sigh of relief. As expected, they still had to rely on Li Fan. You can't even protect yourself. How can you care about others? Jiang Feng roared at the top of his head. Right now, Li Fan was standing on top of a tall tower, fighting fiercely with clone number 1. That clone number 1 was covered in flames like a god of fire, and he was actually on par with Li Fan. A combination of true chi and superpower. I wonder who came up with this method. What a freak. Li Fan really wanted to give him a thumbs up. It was like him fusing with the Flying Lion Goddess. The power produced was really several times stronger. Chapter 1099. Boom! Clone number 1 immediately sent out a flame kick towards Li Fan's head. The clone's body was created with perfect genes, so his control was excellent. The kick that he sent out, regardless of the timing, strength, angle, or technique, was perfect and impeccable. Li Fan used his crane hand to block. Bang! Li Fan's body was pushed back, and his feet stepped on the edge of the tower, almost falling down. Damn, this guy is too strong. Ursa Major Seal. Li Fan took the opportunity to hit number 1's chest. Number 1's body trembled slightly, but he remained expressionless. At the same time, he grabbed Li Fan's wrist with both hands. Dear luck. Li Fan was shocked. This was his own move, and it was perfectly replicated. Number 1's flame kick was launched again. This time, It was indeed the most beautiful kick in the deer strike technique. Even Li Fan could not completely block it and was kicked down from the top of the tower. Number 1 jumped down from the tower and chased after Li Fan. His body spun in the air, and with the strength of the battle axe, he kicked down towards Li Fan. Too arrogant. Li Fan's eyes narrowed. As he fell, the chi in his body quickly rose. Divine Dragon General. Li Fan allowed his chi to rise to the extreme, entering the Divine Dragon General stage. The golden radiance draped over his body, making Li Fan even more powerful. His eyes became bright, emitting a golden radiance. This was the manifestation of chi gathering in his eyes. Number 1 speed seemed to have slowed down a little. The energy emitted from his body was very special. It was indeed the radiance of the fusion of chi and superpower. When he fused with the Flying Lion Goddess, it was the same color. Li Fan suddenly stretched out his hands and used the same deer lock and grabbed Number 1's leg. The heat of the flames attacked Li Fan's body, but Li Fan had the protection of his true chi, so he was a little better. However, this kind of blazing heat still made him slightly unable to open his eyes. Don't look down on the original. As Li Fan spoke, he grabbed Number 1's calf and used Subdue the Bear, borrowing the momentum from the fall and Number 1. He spun his body and smashed Number 1 heavily into the ground. With a loud bang, Number 1's body smashed into the ground, creating a crater. A few clones did not manage to dodge in time and were smashed into the ground. No one knew if they were dead or alive. Dragon King Seal. Li Fan hung upside down in midair and struck down with his palm. Number 1, who was already lying on the ground, was hit by the palm. A huge palm print was left on the ground, and many clones were forced to kneel on the ground by the powerful palm wind. As expected of the little overlord, his strength cannot be underestimated. Jiang Feng did not panic. However, don't forget that guy is your clone. As he spoke, the ground suddenly exploded, causing dust to fly everywhere. A figure jumped out from the dust and charged towards Li Fan, who was in midair. Bang! Li Fan was hit by the palm. If he did not subconsciously raise his arms to block it, he would have suffered a serious injury. His body flew up again and landed on the tower. He hooked his legs on the top of the tower to stabilize his body. Li Fan stared at Number 1, who jumped towards him once again and frowned. This guy's strength is not bad. If I can fuse with the Flying Lion Goddess, I can still defeat him. However, the Flying Lion Goddess is currently protecting Jiang Feng and the rest, so I can't take her back. Since that's the case, there is only one killer move left. This game is going to end soon. Jiang Feng suddenly stood up. Let me personally end all of you. As he spoke, Jiang Feng's figure appeared in front of the Flying Lion Goddess. His skills seemed to have improved again. He directly used the acupoint striking hand to sweep past the goddess's shield and hit her throat. Although the Flying Lion Goddess is strong, the combat skills she learned are after all simple. She can't contend against a martial arts expert like Jiang Feng. Zhan Xiaodian also jumped over and slapped Jiang Feng's head. A smile hung on Jiang Feng's lips. He lightly leaned his body to the side and dodged Zhan Xiaodian's palm. At the same time, he used the acupuncture hand on Zhan Xiaodian's chest. Zhan Xiaodian spat out a large mouthful of blood. Obviously, he was heavily injured. Jiang Feng also quickly rushed in front of him and slashed at his vitals. Clang! Jiang Feng raised 2 fingers and blocked Jiang Feng's slash. Too weak. Jiang Feng smiled. With your strength, you are not worthy to fight me. As he spoke, Jiang Feng released sword chi from his finger and sent the blade in Jiang Feng's hand flying. Go to hell, bastard. Jin Jiuma's praying mantis fist had already reached the back of Jiang Feng's head. Jiang Feng's other hand pointed backward and poked Jin Jiuma's forehead, causing her to black out and fly out. The rest of the Sword Reliance experts are also not his match. Jiang Feng is like a ferocious tiger coming down the mountain, beating everyone without the ability to fight back. Too powerful. Night Rain Tower sat in a wheelchair, his face slightly pale. Sure enough, the Sword Reliance's lifespan is coming to an end. I'm going to personally go out. Luo Xiaowu carried her sword and jumped down from the second floor. Guomingming jumped down and stood beside her to protect her. No, Alliance Master. Night Rain Tower immediately stopped her. Your body is not enough. I will live and die with the Sword Reliance. With every step Luo Xiaowu took, cold frost would appear under her feet, causing the ground to start to freeze. Her 9 Heaven Mystic Ice technique has already been activated to the extreme. But this way, her internal injuries will also become more serious. Alliance Master, I will also follow you. Night Rain Tower moved his wheelchair and caught up with Luo Xiu. Sigh, I really want to be with them. Jiang Yuanyuan seemed to be a little anxious. Sure, Dragon Lady said as she ate her chips. The president has ordered me to protect you. Jiang Yuanyuan curled her lips. It's all right, this is just a small matter. Dragon Lady waved her hand. Just do what you need to do. Then I will go too. Jiang Yuanyuan licked her lips, carrying 2 fans, and caught up with Luo Xiu and the rest. Are you all here to die? All right. Jiang Feng opened his chest and let go of his embrace. Let me replace death to embrace you all. I will end you all and end this evil underworld. In your dreams, Li Fan roared in the air. He landed and headed toward Jiang Feng, a guy who can't even protect himself. Jiang Feng ordered Number 1 kill him. Number 1 also jumped down from the tower. His body was covered in flames, like a rocket, and his speed was extremely fast. Bang! Number 1 caught up with Li Fan and knocked Li Fan to the ground. I will kill these people one by one in front of you. Jiang Feng looked at Li Fan, who was lying there. This way, you won't be lonely on the road to hell. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.